us early. It's a surprise. Anyway,
stealth start to the show.
Yeah, we are doing it a bit earlier this time as a surprise, as we are on time kind of thing. Even that's good. Not usually late. Usually late, that's bad. But anyway, welcome to Sunday Therapy number 3. I'm gonna count them now. I thought it's gonna be like every single time saying the same name. It's kind of okay, you number it because people was like, which one was that? Is it like last year or this year? Anyway, so numbering. So in this session will be comic books. Surprise! Anyway,
I was on a non-comic book related podcast that just came out this weekend.
Oh yeah,
with George, right?
George and I meanwhile on the podcast talked about sitcoms that we watched as children.
Wow. Okay, interesting.
And George confessed that sitcoms are his favorite form of TV, not dramas or anything else.
Right.
And I think that might be true for me. I hadn't really thought about it before, but
okay.
I definitely like my Star Trek and things like that, though.
Oh, I love my Star Trek, man. Oof, don't start with that. I love Star Trek.
But that conversation was a lot of fun. If anyone wants to hear me talk about things other than comics, you got.
So is it like just posted already on this podcast system?
Yeah, on his podcast, it came out on Saturday.
Oh, okay, cool.
We recorded it like 4 weeks ago or something.
Oh, yeah. So, that's why I wanted to ask.
I'm a fill-in for when other people aren't available.
Awesome.
You keep yourself busy, Mister. Interviews, so the only famous person.
Gotta keep my celebrity going.
Yeah. This is the famous person in our crew. Well, or maybe Terrence as well.
Terrence has his groupies, I think.
Yeah,
one or two.
What I call the nexus of. I don't know what to call you guys, but the nexus of you guys, freaky comic book guys.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, the 5
you're
of us
all equals, but it's like a cool guy group of strange comic books.
Yeah. And you also, Damien was doing that video of you going that your sleepy vlog and stuff like that, and you were posting the links to people. I have not actually seen those YouTubers.
Well, for people who want weekly comic book reviews and updates, it doesn't seem like there's many channels that really do that. And since I'm kind of sloppy about it, I just thought people might want to know the other ones that I know of, if they like to hear about the new comics the week they come out.
So great. I followed some of them, like especially female ones. What's the name of that channel?
The Casually Comics people. Comics Will Break Your Heart.
Yeah. That's the one.
They do a Sunday chat too, right?
In fact, I think they're still chatting right now. So I often end up listening to most of their show after the fact.
Oh, shoot.
Like on a long walk or something.
Doing Sundays? What the hell? I mean,
I think that's the first place I ran into Miss So, actually, was on one of their chats. I seem to remember her from those streams, the times that I would dip in.
Right. And then I recently discovered another woman. What's she called? I should know. Because
well, the recent discovery is
sometimes like not comics culture. What? Officially unofficial comics.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah, I know because they were.
I think she mostly is DC Comics actually, but she seems to do a weekly show.
Okay.
And has her own very personal take on it all.
Yeah, those people are quite often making videos. They're very committed, which is good for us to watch. Maybe it's commitment and a half because I know doing that. Well, not. Like weekly videos is kind of hard to do, eh? You have to have some freedom, eh?
Especially... I like doing them weekly, but it is like, I mean, I always do. I always hit a period where I can't do them. And I did recently. Yeah. But well, for me, it feels good to keep up with my new comics. But I was actually talking to Bob, Everything Comics Bob, who lives here in Portland. Yesterday, we got together and he finds it like he was rushing through his comics too much by trying to do a weekly review show. Yeah. So it's kind of got its pluses and minuses. But for me, it keeps me on top of it. Otherwise, the pile of unread comics gets too crazy.
Yeah. Well, then this week I usually don't buy my comic book getting monthlies. But this time, because there was new comic book day, I was like, I bloody had to try it, like to get whatever with that. So it's like worth the postage, because it's all about saving the money for the postage.
Right.
Because it cost me like 2 extra comic books in the post sometimes. So anyway, but yeah, I have new comic books to talk about, which is kind of odd for me. It's like in the middle of the month, like I'm like, what is this? Why I have new comic books?
Right. We think of you as the 80s and 90s Marvel comics and things like that.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, isn't it? And then that's the thing, and I have this tomes of my Batman to read, and they were shoved aside because honestly, like I have too many books now. It's like, what is going on here? It's like reminder of what used to be. Because when your new comic book day books, I had like 4, and then plus 3 of the new ones I usually like pull. That's 7 books. That's a lot for me. It's like, oh my god, wow. It's like a chore, kind of. Not like a chore, but you know what I mean. It's like it's not. It's the land where I forgot how to be in.
Right.
So it's like, this is like a pressure, but actually, honestly, loved what I was reading. So, of course, Comic Crack has watched Doctor Strange movie. We will not discuss about that because I don't want spoilers, because I've seen them everywhere. That is blastering everywhere.
Oh, really?
Having to block a couple of things from Doctor Strange on my Twitter because I don't know what's going on. It's like everywhere. So if somebody knows it, that I really like Doctor Strange, and it's just like picture after picture. I was like,
right. Have you ever used that mute words option? Because you can mute. So anytime a post with Doctor Strange comes up, it'll just mute it. So you don't have to worry about blocking.
On Twitter?
I believe that's on Twitter, isn't it? I think that there's an option.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. I think you're right.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
So that's an option. Then that way you don't get anything. Then you don't have to block people or anything. You just don't get anything. Anybody who mentions the words, then it's gone out of your feed. I won't spoil it, but all I'll say is this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good.
That's a spoiler, right?
So in the middle of a comic book review, someone spoiled a huge thing from that movie for me.
Oh, did they?
What it was?
Really?
I don't want to spoil it.
Please don't.
But I was so pissed. I immediately turned the video off, but it was too late.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the problem with that. So I was saying to my husband just today, I was like, what do you think if we like just take turns? And I hate going to cinema by myself, but I'm thinking like this is getting a little bit annoying. And I was like, I go watch it, then I take turn, you go watch it. And this way we can actually watch it, because honestly, when you live in a village where you don't know many people and you have a son who is 4, I don't want to take him to cinema at 4 watching Doctor Strange movie.
Right.
Just because I am wanting to watch it. It's kind of stupid. So it's like, let's make some plan of it.
Yeah.
It seems to be kind of like a difficulty. I wish my family would be around, like my mom, but my mom is like, I'm doing other grandchild now.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm just going to buy you a plane ticket just because I want to watch Doctor Strange.
And that's the good thing about now Lillian being a good age for it. So now we can all go together, because early on that was the same thing of like, we like to do it as a family, but it was hard to get a relative to come and hang out, because they're not really here too much or whatever. But now it's great. Now that we can all go together, it's just finding a day that works for everybody. And we went on a Tuesday, which here is, I don't know what it's like everywhere else, but Tuesdays are cheaper days for us. So it didn't cost us near as much. So yeah. So I'm glad we got to see it. I wanted to go opening weekend, but it just didn't work out. Just too busy with other stuff.
Well, you still went because
we went early. I pushed. I'm like, okay, people, let's go. Daddy's got to see Doctor Strange. Come on, let's go. It's the only one that I was that excited about for, like, we got to go. Come on, let's pick a day. Because we're usually all pretty excited about the Marvel movies in general, just because we do it as a family and it's always a fun time. Yeah. But this one especially, I was like, we got to go.
I already hate the idea of me sitting in cinema by myself, but I don't know I think it's gonna have to happen, because my mom said never make a mistake what she did with me. So my dad and my mom was kind of similar situation I am now with my husband, is that they weren't having anybody to take care of us because 2 kids, blah blah blah, and I was handful first. So this is another, like 3 kids basically with me.
Yeah.
So and then they took me to cinema. They thought, like we desperately want to just go out, and they chose this a scary movie. It wasn't a scary movie according to my mom, but it probably was a horror movie, and that's basically ruined my horror movie watching
Right.
scenes. Because what I did, I was pretending to close my eyes, but I was doing this.
Yeah, of course.
I
Yeah.
actually saw it, and my mom said I wasn't sleeping a week out, like for a whole week after
Oh,
that.
jeez.
So she said, like, the worst mistake I've ever done. I don't want to watch any cinema anymore with you next to me.
Yeah.
This is it. I'm gonna pay the biggest price ever. So she has said to me, do not do that mistake. What I did with you, so
Yeah.
because then it's gonna be a problem. So yeah, I wouldn't do that.
There was a few scary moments for Lillian. She didn't think it was as scary as Moon Knight. We only watched the first episode of Moon Knight with her, just because she thought it was intense. This one had some moments for her where afterwards she said it was a little scary. She kind of, I looked over a couple of times and she was cuddled into her mom that she was sitting beside, and so there. But it wasn't. I don't think it was. She didn't say it was super intense. She found Moon Knight scarier for her, like for her sensibilities as an 8-year-old, so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Talking about Moon Knight, I loved it. I don't know what the other people's problem is, I guess.
We still haven't finished it. I still am desperate to watch the rest of it.
Beautiful. I loved it. I actually absolutely enjoyed it. The best time spent watching movie or those TV shows, to be honest. I like the Conchu. I like the Oscar Isaacs for sure. And I love the female for sure because she rocked the ass off really well, and then the costumes were spectacular.
Nice.
And generally, I think one of the best shows they produced, to be honest. But
wow,
there's a gripe because apparently there's the formula they keep on going with, and it's kind of, you can recognize it already, the way they're dealing with situations and stuff. But it's a beautiful way to character to people who doesn't have a clue who he is,
right?
Because it disclose quite a lot of things. So. Well worth it. I'm looking forward to hear what you say, both of you.
Yeah.
When Damien is going to have a chance, maybe next year when we're going to judge that.
Maybe in 10 years. I've been catching up with Adam West Batman.
There you go. That, if you're going to like 60s, that's a long time to catch up to, like 2020s. It's going to be quite tough stuff. But maybe we'll still be here. Kicking ass. Celebrate our 30th anniversary on YouTube. I'm gonna have like a lot of gray hair in here.
Yeah.
I'll sport the grays, although I have.
You'll match my beard.
Exactly.
Anyway, so anything else you guys watched, or shall we talk comics?
I last night. So we have this thing. It was honestly, it's a life changer. I don't know if you guys know about. I'm not sponsored by this company. It's called a Fire Stick. It's for your TV, and it's got like YouTube and all these apps and stuff.
Wait a minute. That's Amazon.
Is it really?
You are selling your soul.
Oh, I'm sold my soul to Amazon. That's what happens when they unionize. They get my money. Seriously, it's unfreaking believable. It's a total game changer with watching stuff on the TV. So last night we downloaded Tubi. It's a free streaming thing. And we watched this documentary on the band The Residents. Man, was it ever good. It was I'm a little bit familiar with them. I know some of their music, not very much though. This was such a well done documentary. I would highly recommend it. So I mean, Tubi itself is free, so there's no payment. It's got a couple of commercials in it, like when you go through. But honestly, growing up watching commercials, it's nowhere near the same amount as when we used to just watch on cable. So it's a little bit annoying having to sit through the commercials, but the documentary is well worth your time if you're into kind of if you know who the Residents are, or even like me, you didn't know very much about them. They do a really nice job of kind of going through what they've done and kind of different eras and stuff. So, but of course they can't talk to the members because nobody knows who the members are, right? So
I only knew they had one album. I didn't know they kept going.
Oh yeah, no, they had.
I had a 1979 album of theirs. But.
They started their first show was in 1969, which I had no idea. Wow. Yeah. And they show footage from that first performance.
I thought they were just a new wave group. They had a song Constantinople, and
that's right. Yeah.
I remember.
I know that one.
And that was the same with me. I thought they started much later than that, so I was super surprised to see how long they've been going for. And I mean, still to this day, right? Like all of this time later, they still pop up. So yeah. Anyway, that's my watching that I loved this week.
That's very cool. I'm glad you mentioned it.
And Damien, do you have anything to add? You're watching?
This morning, my daughter and I watched a show called Lady Parts. We just watched the first episode about a punk band made up of Muslim girls in Britain.
Oh,
it's not a documentary. It's a dramedy. But judging from the first episode, it seems very promising.
That sounds very cool.
I like all that kind of punk rock kind of stuff, and to do it with a different cultural angle was fun.
Interesting.
But I've only watched one episode.
And how is your?
And then Batman 66. I'm enjoying it more than I ever have before. The campiness works even better for me now than it ever did. There was even some odd sexual jokes in there.
Which shouldn't be surprising though. In that
there's a point where Batman says to Robin, "Oh, I'm glad you're finally noticing how attractive women are," and that that your growing up is thrusting right in.
Yeah, especially when they use that word.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. That's great. So it's good. I don't know what else I'm gonna like on the movie side, to be honest. There's too many things I'm thinking. There's too many She-Hulk news around. Like there's like spoiler pictures of the actress who was Orphan Black actress. She's gonna be the main. She wasn't denying that she is, but of course she is. And then they showed some of the pictures. I saw her in like CG / not CG version of She-Hulk. She looks okay. She looks like the old school She-Hulk, so it's
awesome.
Great. That's nice. And then
so did it just start filming, or
they in production? I think, as far as I kind of got the gist of it, but honestly, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I usually skim through that kind of stuff because it's not fully kind of like news for me, just like look it up and stuff like that. And then this Miss Marvel with Khan. What's the name? What is that girl?
Kamala Khan, you mean?
Yeah, Kamala Khan. So that's the in production as well.
I think.
So we're gonna do that. Another Disney show.
Right. That's cool. And I guess Thor is the next one, right? The next one in the theater.
Yes.
When does the next animated Spider-Man come out? Is that this year or next year?
This year as well.
This year? Okay.
I think it is. Now I doubt. Every single time I am so confident to say yes, and then I doubt myself. 5 seconds.
It's hard to keep up. Yeah.
And then on that bombshell, we and my husband canceling Netflix.
Oh yeah.
We're deciding is enough. Yeah. We had it like a feel of it. We did on the Prime, Amazon done. Now we're doing it for Netflix. Instead, my husband is going to invest money into Apple Music instead.
Nice.
Because he wants more music in his life, and it's like makes you happier. So like choose what makes you happy, Netflix or music. It's like music, please.
Yeah.
So there you go. So we're doing that. I thought I'll just share that. Like
the
bit of a sunshine in my world.
The only reason we have Netflix is because we jump off of my mom's account, so we don't pay for it. Because if we had to pay for it, I doubt we would have it. To be honest, we just don't watch a ton of it. I think Disney was the good one for us to put money into because we ended up watching a lot of Disney. Like Lillian watches a lot, obviously, too. So that was much better. But Netflix, if we weren't getting it for free, I don't know if they'd be getting any of our money.
They are more expensive than Amazon first.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And they increased the price again.
Right.
And they've becoming a bit bitchy, which is not something I would like to see in the company, especially when they start blaming their own customers for things like they want to cancel that thing, what you just said about sharing a Netflix password. They are going to do that. And then also they bitching about people saying that they complain why increasing prices all the time. And honestly, the content not always full in my attention, just from our point of view. It's becoming a little bit tedious. So we're trying to just slash a little bit more. So Disney is the only thing we're going to have, which is going to be kind of lonely, to be honest.
You'll do fine.
Well, you can get things like Tubi.
Yeah. Well, that's the one we now you mentioned Tubi. If it's free, there's another thing called Plex. It's free as well.
Oh, okay. I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's Plex. Is Plex, which is basically another app. Your Fire Stick will have it. You just type that in.
Here we have like IBDM or whatever it's called. That website that lists credits also is a channel that has ads on it in our streaming off of our Amazon device.
In UK here, they do that on Amazon. So you have to basically kind of have Amazon in order to do IMDb as well as watch ads. And they only give you a first season for something. Let's say I am a huge fan of Law and Order. they only gave me the first like season of Law and Order, and then afterwards you have to pay extras. Like,
Oh,
no,
boo.
no.
Oh, okay.
But that's just, I don't know how it's in America. It's very different. It's honestly
we're only watching a little bit on it, so I don't really know. Mostly
Anyway.
we watch Hulu and Disney, and we have Amazon. So
yeah,
I didn't realize you couldn't get some things if you didn't have the Amazon.
Right.
Amazon now adds quite a few extras. Like it's funny. So Amazon has, like Disney has Star services. I think it's the same in America. I'm not sure, but anyway, those old TV shows like they have in movies. So Amazon does actually the same service, but they actually asks extra money in UK, for example, where I'm living. So like, it's not worth it. I'm paying double then to watch one thing, whatever I can get for one price. So that's why we're just trying to chop. It's becoming, as I say, too many options, too much to watch, and then you end up not watching it. That's what And my son is, before we was like, son, you like animation. Netflix is huge with animation stuff. But my son now, YouTube is absolutely obsessed with kids YouTube. Kids YouTube, not YouTube, but kids. So that's good.
I did the month of YouTube Premium. I don't know if I told you about it, because it was free for a month, and oh my God, I'm gonna have a really tough time going back. Because having no
I pay for
commercials is
YouTube
glorious.
Premium because once I realized that's my daughter's main thing she watches, I just want her to live in an ad-free world.
Yeah.
And as a bonus, I can watch things without ads, and I can turn the screen off and just listen to them.
Yeah, exactly right. That's what I noticed
that's
too.
One of the huge things for me, actually.
Absolutely.
So that's why, like, I'll listen to a show like this while on a walk. I'm not looking at it. I'm just listening to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a podcast.
I got a bike for my birthday, and so I've been biking to work, and I just bought myself some Bluetooth headphones. And exactly what you're saying, Damien, like the fact that I can turn off the screen and then put it in the pouch and still listen as I'm going. It's amazing. Like I think I might have to have a conversation with my better half about maybe.
I mean, given how much, if your kid watches as much as ours does,
she does,
YouTube, that's kind of like a really good investment, I think, because ads are so pernicious and
they're crazy
perceptions of things.
All right, then we subject of TV suddenly disappears, and now we talk comics. Yes, please.
Yeah, do it.
Hey, looks like Scott Connor has joined us. Our first chat.
Yes. Thank you, Scott Connor.
Hello, Scott.
They're gonna clamp down on people like
like
Terrence.
Which is fine. I mean, and if they do, I get it. I totally understand.
If they do, they do, and then you can.
We won't buy it. Yeah, they're not going to clamp down, so we pay for it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so who wants to start first punching the comic?
I'll go last.
Oh wow! Okay. No, I'm gonna go last. So you're not gonna go last.
The host always gets to go last.
Oh yeah.
Since we were talking about it, why don't I just do a show and tell with Carmen to start off?
I think that's a great idea.
So as some of you may know, and some may not, I double dipped and got the hardback of Carmen that I think just came out this week. I just saw it sitting there in the shop.
You're gonna have a different camera?
I'm gonna do my overhead. Let me set that up. Share screen.
There you go.
It's a little bigger than a comic book. I really like the cover. It's got this this thing where her whole body is a different material or something.
Oh, really? Hey,
kind of shiny and feels raised.
Right.
So here's the comparison to a comic book size. So it's a little bit more all around, which I guess does make a difference. And it's a pretty nice hardback. And I would, for me, I'm always all about the binding, and the binding is it is sewn binding, but it's kind of a tighter sewn binding.
Right.
You put too much glue to it.
So you can see on a page like this, I just wish it would lay a little flatter.
Yeah.
As you get towards the center of the book, it does lay flatter. The weirdest thing for me, I've flipped through it a number of times, is seeing it all together as opposed to getting it in single issues. The colors don't wow me as much.
Interesting.
Because they're kind of the same throughout the book.
Right. Yeah.
So it's different when I'd be reading a different comic and then I'd switch and read an issue of Carmen. And I'd say, wow, these colors are so great. It doesn't actually make the colors worse. It's just maybe the
you don't have that comparison.
The novelty wears off of the kind of color he chooses.
Yeah.
If you haven't got Carmen in single issues, definitely get it this way.
Yeah, I agree.
It's still a really nice, beautiful book. I don't know how many times I'll read it, but I'll definitely flip through it and look through the art many times.
Yeah.
In fact, some of these scenes I've already forgotten about how good they were.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm trying to remember what Gore Vidal said about the difference between the Spanish ending and the American ending, like the way they did the pages. So I guess I need to. There's this one sideways page here.
That's right.
And looking at it, you do see why don't they go ahead and make this a double page spread now that they have plenty of pages. Oops, maybe it goes that way. Yeah. So anyway, but I can't remember what Gore said about how they did the ending different, and I haven't broken out my individual copies.
I think it was just rearranging some of the pages, wasn't it? Or
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Or did they leave some little thing out?
Right.
You're gonna spoil the end for us. Is this the end?
Oh, sorry, you haven't read Carmen.
Yeah, that's the end. But I mean, you can't.
It's not giving anything away without the context.
No,
it's just an.
It's the context is everything.
Yeah.
Look at you being jumpy just the minute I say spoilers.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot you hadn't. I feel like everyone we know had been reading Carmen, but
no, I partake of your feelings about it for sure. You were the guys talking about it. We shared what your feelings when you were reading it, but I have not picked up in singles because the first issue took me off straight away. So.
Yeah.
Then the behind the scenes stuff. There's a lot of it here. I think a lot of it may have appeared at the back of the books. But I'm glad it's here. It's funny that there's a nose picking scene there. About that. And so we get,
look at that.
Preliminary sketches and
his perspective is kick-ass, man.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah. Do you think he was working as a cartographer or something like for a little bit? Because this is skill and a half.
Yeah, I know. Like maybe he went to architectural school or something.
Yeah, because
this is the city he lives in, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And there's a picture. There's his thumb there. There's his thumb there on the.
Of the
dude, that's amazing.
That's him drawing that section, which kind of lets you know he isn't just working just from photographs. He's going
he's there.
to places. And drawing them in person, which
wow,
I think it's a subtle thing, but I think it does make a difference in art whether you use live models, so to speak, or photographs. There's a different feel to it.
So where is he from?
It's somewhere in Spain, and I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember originally.
There doesn't seem to be a bio thing, and that would be nice to have a bio. I read somewhere where he's from, and now I just can't remember. But like this, like even pictures of his desk.
Yeah, we like that.
So
kind of
you get to look at the work from a bunch of different angles.
Yeah.
And then there's the that's cool. There's a cover process by Manara, no less. Yeah.
That's the one that I bought. Yeah. I love that one.
My wife dresses like this all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you wish. Yeah, that's what's going to say. You wish.
So one interesting thing is I don't think you get the covers between chapters here. So it's more of a continuous novel when you read it.
Wow. Yeah, you don't have that.
Which does make for a different, in my opinion, a different reading feeling when you don't sort of
because you don't give you a break kind of thing.
You don't have those breaks. Yeah, I don't see any kind of breaks. So you get all of his covers and I think some variant covers. Well, obviously the Manara.
Damien, just tear it away from the book and just display it.
Well, yeah, these would make great posters.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that we don't get more art, coffee table books of variant covers or posters of them. That seems to me much more interesting than just having a comic book I put in a box.
Yeah.
But for all this great cover art.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
And the other thing to note is it's list price $25, so it's a
it was
good
cheap.
deal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you usually you can find a discount, right? So yeah, $24.99. So if you can find a discount on this, it's a very nice hardcover for that kind of price. So they did not try to. I would think they could have easily charged $35 or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm pretty glad I got it, but I don't, if it were much larger or, it's sort of on the balance of if you already have the individual issues, do you need this or not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the one thing that would stop me, like we were saying before we went live, is what you were talking about, the binding. You know what I mean? Like that would stop me. Those extras are nice and everything, but I don't know if that's enough for me to double dip on it.
Yeah, and I've been stretching the binding, so it's a bit better than when I first opened it up. It's not, it's not glued binding. It's just tight sewn binding.
Have you guys been watching, just to kind of sort of do a sidestep, have you been watching Kayfabe, the 2 episodes they had with Jeff Darrow?
I'm halfway through one of them. I didn't know there were 2.
Yeah,
about Neil Adams.
They looked through the Neil Adams, and then the one that came out today was they're looking through the last issue of Akira, the last tankobon of Akira.
Oh, wow.
And it's phenomenal. And Shaolin Cowboy comes out next week, which is what made me think of this. It comes out next week, and the amount of he's gotten into the variant cover game as well, thanks to Ed and Jim, most likely. But he's got a bunch of great artists doing variant covers. I think it's a 7-issue miniseries, is what he was saying, and it's going to be every month. He's on it. So I'm so looking, and it was just looking at the detail in Carmen kind of reminded me of Darrow a little bit.
I've never double dipped like on two copies of the same issue just for a cover, but I definitely double dip on getting. I've got the hardback of all of the Shaolin Cowboys.
Yeah.
And hopefully those will have those variant covers in them.
He was saying this is going to be the last one. This will be the end of his Shaolin Cowboy trilogy, I think is what he called it. He said
this is the 4th book.
Yeah, I thought it was the 4th series as well too, but I guess he's only counting like the newer stuff, not the Burly Man, series. Yeah.
Well, but they all totally fit together. The Burly Man,
they really do.
But I just hope he'll do other comics and not just go back to movies or something.
Yeah.
There's still thing my holy grail of the statues is that Shaolin Cowboy. I still really want it. Please buy me and just send it to me as a gift. Come on, Dable. It's very difficult.
I assume that's out of print and hard to.
Yeah, that figure is absolutely it comes out every single. It does come out when he comes out with it. It looks like it's too much money. It's the kind of price because it does take. They look really nice though. The thing is, the quality is amazing. I was like.
He dropped some pretty good nuggets in these videos. One today was he's just kind of telling a story about the time that I hung out with Mobius and we met the creator of Akira. I was in Japan because we were at a meeting for the production of the Shaolin Cowboy movie that never happened, and it's just like these stories, these off the cuff stories, like you motherfucker, but they're really good stories. He's such an interesting guy, and he's very like. He's really he really shits on himself quite a bit for the phenomenal artist that he is. He really kind of has a low humble.
And it seems really honest on humility, like he literally does not feel worthy or something.
He was saying to those kayfabe guys, saying, "Are you sure? Do you think it's good?" And then they look like a chill, like, "What the hell are you talking about?" How is that only good?
I would take one picture by him for their entire body of work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally.
Because they was like, no, we don't know. Like, of course not. How do you know? Yeah, it does that to himself. Is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I know in the Neil Adams one, he talked about how his friend showed Neil Adams his portfolio. Neil Adams said, "Hey, I want you to come work for me at Continuity." And then some other friend said, "Nah, you're not ready. Don't go."
Yeah.
And he listened to him. Oh, you could see the regret on his face. It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
That was. It worked out though, because instead of hanging out with Neil Adams, he hung out with Mobius, I guess.
That's good.
That Ra's al Ghul thing that they were looking through was fantastic. That Treasury one, I've never seen that one before.
I had that as a kid. Everything Darrow said about your feelings as a kid when you would see a Neil Adams cover, and then open it up, hoping there's some Neil Adams inside. It's like I experienced all the same things he did, but he became a great artist and I didn't. But.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I'm still on a big Neil Adams kick. I'm going to be reading more by him.
Yeah. So is it my turn?
Yes.
Speaking of Neil Adams, that's a good segue. I picked these up today.
Nice.
One of the guys at Thirsty's Flea Market, he messaged me last week saying he had some Strange Adventures. There was 2 issues that I needed, so 211 and 214. They're beat up. I just picked them up today, so I haven't read them. But again, like I think we talked about it on this show. The first time for me, Neil Adams, was definitely seeing Dead Man stuff with those reprints. But these are just really great to flip through again and again, like watching that kayfabe where they're going page after page. There's so many. I mean, the one thing that they say in there is that when you think of Batman, they were saying that when they think of Batman, they think of Neil Adams' Batman. I would agree. And when I think of Dead Man, I think of Neil Adams' Dead Man. A very close second would be Kelly Jones.
I agree. It's hard seeing anyone else's Dead Man after you see Neil Adams.
Yeah. And it's just, there's so much that's iconic of like his style. My son and I, like, I mean, look at the way these 2 pages are laid out. First of all, with like this coming right through the middle here.
Yeah. Wow.
Is really great. You know what I mean? Across both the pages. It's just beautiful stuff, man. But his figure drawing and everybody being this kind of, they seem like they're extra long and lean. And as they were saying in that video, Batman looked like he wasn't a muscle-bound goof. He was actually, he's someone who could for real kick your ass. Like he was an athletic kind of build. And it's the same with Dead Man, especially with a character that's, you know, this trapeze artist and stuff, this circus performer. He looks long and lean, like, you know, again, like you believe that cover, right? He looks like he could do it. And the perspective and things that they're talking about, don't know if there's one in here. Yeah, there's that recreation sort of the cover there to some degree, you know, but just everything about it is just so amazing. And something else that stood out with me in the first issue here, let me see, maybe it was in this one actually. Yeah, here we go, this stuff. So these textured kind of close-ups are great, and I can't tell, it looks like it's layers of screen tone on top of each other or whatever, but that's something that I really kind of think of as him as well too.
Is he the inker on this one? I do think of it with him too, those interesting textures.
It just says script Jack Miller and art Neil Adams on this one.
Then one assumes he's the anchor. Yeah.
I'm assuming for sure. Yeah. It's always sometimes hard to tell, like if they're just not given credit. But
usually they'll add in the ink. They never credit colorists back then. But they'll tell you if there was another artist on it.
Like even look at this chalk. I love the way that sits on the page too. It's really great. So I'm looking forward to rereading these because I'm still missing a few of these original ones. Like I said, I've got the reprint of all this stuff, but I'm looking forward to sitting and reading these this week. I think I'm gonna dip back into them for sure. So yeah, they're tough to find. It's another one of those infamous books that people who have them aren't selling them. So I don't come across these very often, and these are well loved. So he gave me a nice little deal on them too.
That's still very early on, I think. I can imagine other artists picking up those issues and going, "Oh crap, I'm in trouble now."
Yeah, we're
the
doomed.
Stakes have just been raised.
Oh, look at these! Look at this! This is great.
Yeah,
2 pages of the tall vertical panels, and you know, again, it's one of those things like you just start thinking about these guys. And it's apparent, even for a guy like me, that he had a huge influence on kind of what I thought of some characters and put books that I picked up without knowing, you know, because I was into all sorts of other stuff. But it's just, once you start thinking about what he's done, it's amazing how far of a reach he had. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's impressive.
Yeah, that's great.
There's this guy named Arlen Schumer who's like an academic comics historian, and he does these webinars. And I found one on Neil Adams that he just posted, or maybe it just popped up. I didn't watch the whole thing, but at the start, he had pages that Neil Adams drew as a kid, where he was doing his own version of Challengers of the Unknown and these comic strips, and they look like they were done by professional adults.
Amazing.
And it also made me realize he loved comics, and so he was really maybe one of the first people who was a fan of comics to go into comics,
right?
As opposed to people who dreamed of being Hal Foster and ended up in comics,
right.
And seeing those childhood drawings of his made me think of that. And so I think he came in and he wanted to push comics forward. He cared about, I mean, some other people did too, like Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko, but in general, people were just doing it as a job. And he comes in and considers it an art form.
Absolutely.
And
and even what they say about
we're living with that ever since.
In the kayfabe thing, when they talk about like the amount of reference that he would use and not be shy about it, there's this idea that in order to be an artist, you can't. He's like, no, fuck that. Why would you draw it if you can reference it, or whether you can use the machine to kind of like do some of the backgrounds and then add your art on top of it and add to it? Or why wouldn't you reference this angle of somebody that you're going to be drawing? Like I think in that video they were showing it was from the ground looking through the steering wheel up at Batman. It's like, well, how else are you going to draw that? You need to reference. That's just part of that's part of the job, and why wouldn't you do it? I think was his kind of take on it. Like it doesn't make sense not to, and it shows. It really shows. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Scott was calling. Oh, there you got comments from him. The chiaroscuro shading. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Mouthful. I won't even say that word.
I can't say it very well.
Chiaroscuro.
I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Okay.
It's not a word I hear people say out loud. I just see it written down.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go through my free comic book day picks, I guess.
Oh, yes.
And feelings about it. Oh, Chaos and Comics. Hello.
Hey, Chris.
So I was skimmed a book for my son, which is, I don't know why. I didn't ask. It doesn't matter. This is my choice for this week. Or the last one. You can't really see. So Nottingham by Matt Cave. Yeah, Matt Cave Comics. And then a Blaze comic book called Tracy. That was okay. And then this one was amazing for me as a fan. And I am a fan of Buffy Vampire Slayer. Original TV shows. Oh, sveiki. Wow, he actually says in my language. That's crazy. Look. Sveiki. That's how we say it properly. Anyway, so Buffy's 25 years. That makes me feel very old, by the way. But I have not read any comic books in Buffy because they are extremely popular. They get out of print quickly. Lots of people are mad about them. Apparently, they're amazing. And this one is just introducing the characters, slew of characters I'm not really familiar with because there's a new cast, I guess, coming in through the comic books. But right at the end, they have this small comic book or part to written a new story. And we have our Buffy lying down, really like confused and doesn't know what's happening to her. And she's talking to a therapist, and apparently Buffy is talking about her friend who, having issues with the responsibilities she has to do and stuff like that. And what ends up being that her therapist is, spoiler alert, I guess, which is page, Oh, she is a vampire. But to my surprise, this chick comes into picture, and it's Willow. And Willow is the shy girl, so they swap it. So apparently they're going to swap them too. So Buffy will become like Willow, and Willow is going to be a Slayer, a very confident, who she used to be kind of tried to be confident in TV show, if you're well aware of. But in here, she's a kick ass, and she just like does whatever she wants. She stakes the vampire, and she's like, and then Buffy, the way she's like, "Oh, Wills, are you okay?" And she's like, "No, don't worry, I'm all fine now." So she's all confident and stuff, which is gave me a kick because I know both of them so well. So that's of a free comic book day thing. Just that extra matter worked for me.
Did Joss Whedon write that one, or is that someone else? Because I know he wrote a bunch of the comics, didn't he? And I think that was partially the big draw because it was further seasons of the TV show, just in comic form.
Sarah Gailey is written
okay.
by and illustrated by Carlos Oliveres.
Yeah.
And colored by Valentina Pinto. So
yeah, I think when they were at Dark Horse, they were doing seasons.
Yeah, that's right.
Season
yeah.
8, season 9.
and
But I don't know if they're still doing that at Boom.
Right.
I'm not, but they produce really nice hardcovers, which is completely out of print forever and forever. I know, Terrence, you got this one. Have you read this one?
I haven't read it, no, but I did get it. Yeah, I haven't read it yet.
I'm not impressed.
Yeah, hey, yeah.
Story-wise, it's a little bit odd. It's like kind of Swamp Thing / magic / kind of mixed together, and
right.
the way it was written, it just didn't feel like I wanted to care much about it. So
right.
there's murders happening in this park. There's a lot of plants, and there's this chick called Trissy, and has magic touch because of the ancestral part of it, and then she's able to talk to those extra beings, like a plant beings, almost like Swan Thing, like the greens or the flowers and stuff like that. And there's murders happening, and find out what's happening. And apparently the lady who was taking care of the garden for those plants, she got missing, and everybody goes crazy mad, and they find out what's happening. But I don't know, it didn't give me any excitement. I just because of maybe Swan
Thank
Thing.
goodness it was free.
Yeah. Extra, there's advertisement for the extra series, but it's like, okay. And this one, Nottingham, by Mad Cave, which I'm not familiar of the publisher, but I know Nottingham. I think DC Da Costa Comics, he's been picking up the series. So this is again a story of Robin Hood, or sort of. I mean, yes, it is Robin Hood storyline in England, where this guy, he's apparently, this is a new way of Robin Hood looking. But what is the artist is Andrea Muti, creator, so he's part of it, and you get the whole comic in here. So the first story, it's apparently is the whole volume 1 already out in the world, but you get, so this is the best quality paper, the best quality production of Free Comic Book Day, to be honest, I've seen.
Nice.
Wow.
They didn't cheap out on it. They have really nice like stock paper in Germany, and Andrea Muti, like Bunny Mask creator, is really good. Those kind of like muted colors he likes to use, the watercolors, but it's kind of works for his style, of course. And you have the story of those Robin Hood and Merryman going to steal something, but instead one of them decides to kill one of the bad guys, and there's a different guy who is kind of like, we're following the story of this guy is here, and he's kind of between two lines, being with the bad guys or good guys. So it's interesting, but it was really good read, to be honest. But like, nothing new to say. It's kind of like another kind of sort of tale of Robin Hood, but with a bit of a twist, I guess, a little bit, slightly. But I really enjoyed this, but especially if you get the whole story of like one issue in the comic book, it's a steal, to be honest.
Yeah, totally.
And of course, my favorite was this, because I'm a fan, and I know, yes, it is reprint of the reprint. So what happened? Yeah. So this is basically your first official issue what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out with in retelling, because Tom Waltz is gonna have a mini series of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles called Armageddon Wars, I think. Is that what they called? And Armageddon Game. So he's basically starting this with introduction to the turtles, how they weren't just introduced to a audience from the beginning, kind of escalate to it. But the best part of this comic book was that, of course, you get the original reprint. If you don't have it, you own it. It's kind of nice to have it or in your collection. But extra matter is this future of what he's going to do, and who is the creators, and how Sophie Campbell is part of the team, how long they wanted her to work with them, but then suddenly she got popular, and the popularity has increased to the point where they want to keep her as long as they can, because she's, as like me and myself, I'm really enjoying what I'm reading from the new stuff as well. So I'm continuously reading the main title. And Tom Waltz coming back. So he's going to create that series of Armageddon Wars game, which he's gonna do a couple of like 7-issue series, I think.
Hmm.
But it was interesting to see because he's like, I have 100 issues of it. I was so happy about it. But knowing that kind of like it's kind of addicted, he says, in a way, of writing turtles. So he's kind of like, he was asked to come back for a little bit to write that last Ronin storyline, which I really enjoyed right at the end. And then he's gonna come back, and so
Right.
so Campbell actually gonna help him as well. So it's nice for her, and she's
Cool.
she's becoming like an essential part of Turtles as well, in a way. It feels like it because they really like what she's been doing, because she's introducing all these female characters. And I'm going to mention that which I read the new Turtles book as well, and I'll mention the storyline, which is actually fantastic so far. So
at the flea market today, when I picked up those books, he had a small stack. I guess at one point there was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG, like a role-playing game. So we had some of the books, I think 4 or 5 of them. And it looked great. It was like character stats and, little drawings and things, but they also had comics at the back of the book too, which I thought was a nice little touch. I don't know. I didn't take a good look at them, but I mean, it makes sense that they would do it. I just had no idea those existed.
Yeah, they do. I already looked it up many times, like a couple of years ago, and just to see what there's all about. But like, because it's a bigger merchandise and lots of things, it's quite expensive and it's involved and stuff like that. So, but I rather invest in my comic books, which that's what passion at the end of the day is.
Yeah,
but
totally.
This free comic book day actually was surprisingly good. Less disappointment when like enjoyment, because I enjoyed a lot more basically one try when I used to be, because before I used to be like, meh, like look it up, nothing really crazy.
Yeah.
Every time if you're gonna produce Turtles in the free comic book day, I'll pick it up.
Yeah.
Cheer me up straight away. So I guess that's how you're gonna get my attention.
Yeah, there was some good looking ones. Like if I would have gone to more shops, I would have tried some more, but we just didn't make it. But this year it seemed like there was quite a few interesting looking issues. That Nottingham they had at my shop, I picked it up as well too. And you're right, that quality of it stood out from the other ones that were on the table for sure.
Yeah, it seems to be like it's basically they give you a free comic, the like whole one issue number 1 for free, basically, for you just to get in. Not those like
smart.
First, then you still have to pay for it. It's like, you can pick it up if you just get into it. So yeah.
Cool. I noticed they had the whole first issue of Barbaric as one of their.
That's right, they did. Yeah.
I already had bought it for $4.
I have it as well.
That was a good deal.
Thanks to Terrence, I got it as well. But
yeah,
it's a good way to do it. But yeah, it's nice sometimes. I mean, they get it really right sometimes, not really great in the every time. Anyways, so that's
it's changed. I think it's changed over the years. Like there's a couple of shops in town here that they don't participate, and they haven't for quite a while. Or well, maybe not quite a while, but a couple of years anyway. There's always that sense of it from that side, but I can understand it, but it does feel like the past couple of years, the options have been, for me anyway, like looking at them, a lot of range, a lot of different publishers, and, a lot of, seeing so many manga. And at 204, he had them separated. There was ones that were more adult. And then down at the other end of the table, there was ones that were like specifically for kids. And that section that was like for adult and like older teens and stuff, there was quite a lot more options and like real solid ones, indie titles and things too, and the manga, obviously. So yeah,
cool. And it's now Damien's turn, isn't it?
Yes. Put my overhead on again.
Hey,
this is kind of my delight of the week. I don't know why I didn't buy it ages ago. I don't think I really knew that it was in print, but I think
Ad
it was
House Books, right?
I think it was Colin or you who on Twitter mentioned Ad House had a 50% off sale. So I was like, well, I've bought one book from Ad House in the past. I don't know what else they have. And I just went on the website and there was this by one of my favorite artists, Alex Zurit, the guy who did Space Riders.
Yes. And
this is a really nice hardback. And I would have happily paid the cover price of $15 for this nice hardback. It's smaller than a comic book, but that's fine.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah.
So it's a smaller size book, but and I don't. There's nothing in it to indicate that it was ever published somewhere else. I don't know if this might have been something that was self-published and then Ad House
Yeah.
picked it up for a hardback,
Yeah.
or what the story is. But it is, as you kind of expect from Alex Zura, and it's the same writer who did Space Riders with him.
Okay.
But they always, like with Space Riders, they list his name first, and they say it's created by him and Fabian Rangal, who I think Gore Vidal knows him slightly.
Okay.
And said he found Jesus and stopped writing comics, which is
no.
And I thought of that because at the beginning of the story, there's a bunch of people shouting, cheering, "To Lucifer, to Lucifer." But whether Lucifer plays any role in this story, I couldn't really tell. It's a very garbled, confused pulp craziness without much coherence.
Yeah.
I mean, generally I don't know what country it's supposed to be in. It feels to me like some crazy Mexican kind of place. Zura is from Venezuela originally. And I had assumed he lived in Texas because the writer does, but I guess he lives in Florida. I just looked that up. But maybe it draws both on all the kind of pulp stuff we know, but maybe a bunch of Latin American style pulp too. So you have this woman here, the tarantula, and then you have some guy named Sombra, who looks a lot like someone in Zura's other comic. What was that called? Now I can't remember. His most recent one. I don't know if the character was called Sombra in it, but darn, can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Anyway,
I know what you're talking about, though.
And then there's another character named Muerte, Death, who is kind of a superhero too, I guess, on the side of good. And these two know each other, but the characters just sort of pop in, and you don't really understand what's going on. Like, I never understood who this villain was, whose head is like a flower or two napkins or something. I don't know what his head is supposed to be.
Nine Hunters. Chaos is saying it's Nine Hunters.
Night Hunters, exactly. Yeah, there was a character who looked like this in Night Hunters. I don't know if he was called Sombra though. But anyway, it's all out Alex Zura craziness with the crazy colors and the super scratchy, inky artwork.
Yeah. Wow!
I should get out my 3D glasses and see if it helps with that page. So if you like this kind of art, it's highly recommended. But if you're looking for a coherent story, I don't recommend this.
Yeah.
I may reread it to try to figure out the story, but I don't even know if it's worth it.
I had it and I sold it.
Oh, you did?
Put it that way. Yeah. I had it, and I as much as I like his art, I like the Space Riders. I like the outer space. I like that stuff. This one, it was still pretty good. Even Night Hunters, I'm just so on it. Yeah. I feel like his stuff works more on this kind of crazy cosmic kind of level,
right.
You know.
I agree.
But I agree with you about the story about this one. Nothing stuck with me whatsoever.
Yeah. I like this a lot better than Night Hunters. I think because Night Hunters tried to kind of have and I'm keeping my copy of Night Hunters, but Night Hunters tried to be sort of a more serious thing, and then the lack of coherence becomes more of a problem, I think.
Right.
This had no serious message. It was just like, how many bizarre characters can we come up with? So did you show this on YouTube? And
I might have talked about it a long time ago. Yeah, I might have. I'm sure I did. When I got it.
Maybe before I was even aware of who Alex Zura was or something. I wasn't paying close.
Yeah, because I had it quite a while ago.
There's, I hear people like Jared Osborne and other people talking about color trapping and not making the colors go over the lines, and it goes over the lines all the time in here. Yeah. And I don't know if that's on purpose.
Oh, it's got to be. I always assumed that it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this page here. I was just looking on his website because I was trying to find out something about this, like if it was self-published first or, whether it came before Night Riders or somewhere in the middle of Night Riders, because it was published in this hardback edition in the middle of the Night Riders runs. But I couldn't find out much. But I saw that some of the art is for sale.
Yeah.
For anywhere between $100 and $200. So
did he have any Space Riders art for sale too?
He also had a little bit of Space Riders left,
Really?
a little bit of this left, a lot of Knight Riders. A lot of Knight Riders left.
Terrence.
So I think in the $150, $200 range is what the nicer looking pages go for.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I really like this, and I really wanted it to be better. Like, if a little more effort on the writing and the coherence could have made me, so love this story. I don't want it to be like a logical, traditional story, but I just want to, I don't know,
something else,
something more, to it. But I hope Knight Riders. I hope he doesn't go further in the Knight Riders thing. I hope he does more of the crazy pulp.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love his approach to coloring and all of that.
Yeah, me as well. Yeah.
I love that there's this cop who, for no reason, just wears a luchador mask. So I like the sense of randomness, like someone's just wearing a luchador mask and there's no explanation. It's a bit like a Gilberto Hernandez kind of comic in a way.
I feel like it's referencing a lot of, I think you hit it when you're talking about like Mexican and Spanish culture and thing. I think that this is referencing a lot of that stuff, like the luchador movies and that sort of thing. And there must have been a pulp heroine called Tarantula. I'm just assuming that that's a given. So there's all, it feels like it's really referencing all of that culture.
Yeah. So if you'd seen a lot of Mexican or Latin American horror movies and such, it might mean a lot more to you than it did to me.
Mm-hmm. It looks like color scheme is kind of very similar to your Space Riders.
Very similar to Space Riders.
So I guess it's just a part of his style. At the end of the day, it works for his art.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the colors in Space Riders.
Yeah.
Really,
as well.
What drew me in first, and then I started looking at his art and I appreciate his art more than it's just it goes with this.
And I like that it's art that the attitude is a big part of the art, and that you can express attitude through art.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of the opposite of what Marvel or DC is looking for most of the time. But I mean, someone like Daniel Warren Johnson does that too, has that feel. And he does work for Marvel and DC. But anyway, that was cool. I really enjoyed it. So you sold it, and
I did.
Is it worth a lot of money?
No, it's not.
It's
I sold it locally.
So it shouldn't be.
Yeah, I ran a little. This was a years ago auction here on the Facebook group, and I sold it to one of the guys in town here.
Right.
I think I sold it for $8 or $10 or something like that.
That makes sense since it's a $15 book.
Yeah.
I wish Ad House was promoted better or something. I'm just not even. But other than hearing about that sale, I just never have them enter my mind.
It's Chris Pitzer is his name, and he's been in a couple of kayfabe videos as well too, because he's friends with Rugg. I think he's good friends with Jim Rugg. And he's got some interesting stuff on his site. There's a few things that I bookmarked on his site that I was always interested in. There's a couple that I'm not as crazy about, but
everybody doesn't have really good feelings about this tarantula.
Or Night Hunters.
Or Night Hunters. I guess Space Riders is such a good, like you get to, if you read that first and you think this is
everything's downhill from there.
Yeah. And then you're like, if it doesn't meet that area, it's like, it's really difficult.
Yeah. If you read this first and then got to Space Riders.
Yeah, you would be even more excited. And you will go, yes. And then you want more stuff like that. But
but I think I will hang on to this. I enjoyed this a lot visually, and I do like the idea of all the crazy pulp characters. But I know you were trying to clear out space too, and
also trying to do that. Yeah, that's also the thing. Yeah. Although lately I've been thinking of like, man, I just got to get another bookshelf. Is what I got to do. I just got to figure out where it's going to go, and because there's stuff now that is laying on top of books that I'm looking at. It's like. It's stuff that I want to keep, though. There's nothing anymore really that I want to get rid of. Yeah. So I just need more shelf space. I need to figure something out.
Start to break the walls. Break the walls, and then start adding bookshelves instead of.
Yeah. I have to fight my wife first. I think it would be a fist fight first. So that's the other side.
Maybe you should just do a drinking game. So whoever wins.
Dig down and make a second basement.
Yeah, there you go. Now you're thinking.
Don't even tell her it's there.
Start chiseling away with a spoon.
Yeah.
Like a convict.
Yeah.
Why are you having your bucket? No, there's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing in the bucket.
Yeah.
Something though.
Me next, I guess.
Yes. They had the feel of sci-fi drug Tijuana Bibles.
Yeah.
Eh?
Those filthy Tijuana Bibles. So I read Popeye.
Yes.
The IDW book that I got recently from one of the locals. It collects the first 4 issues of the IDW run.
And it was Popeye Tijuana Bible, I'm guessing.
There's got to be, absolutely. It was pretty entertaining. So there's quite a few little short stories. And the ones that stood out for me the most, and this is the main reason why I wanted to pick these up.
Are they reprints or modern?
Newer, it's newer stuff. And the one that I wanted was Tom Neely had done some. Let's get to his Popeye story actually here. Yeah, here we go. Tom Neely. So he was a part of what the hell is that monkey series called again that Image put out? Anyway, and he did a little comic.
The Humans.
The Humans. That's the one. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So his style. He did a couple of. He did the Popeye thing that Colin Blanchett sent me. So Loading the Cannon had sent me, and then he got a chance to do some Popeye stories as well too, in the book. And they're just there's nothing really heavy to say about the stories. They're pretty comical. There's some really nice little moments. I actually enjoyed the Wimpy character quite a bit. There's this one story that's focused on Wimpy. He's going to get into a fight. But I mean, he's the alcoholic without being the alcoholic, hanging out at the bar, looking for free burgers and trying to con people to get him free burgers and stuff. But Neely does some really nice stuff. I'm assuming he colors his own stuff too. His stories really stand out in the book. And it's things like this that he does so well. But the coloring and just the line work on his Popeye stuff, I think it kind of puts the other ones not to shame, because the other ones are really nice too. But there's just something extra to his quality and his illustration style that I really dig. So these are the only stories. I think he only did these 3 stories in this run. But yeah, pretty entertaining.
So he kind of really committed to the original style and put his all into it.
Absolutely. And again, it's not like the other stuff is bad. Here's Goodnight Blozo, which is who's the artist on this one? Art and letters by someone named Vince Musachia, and then colors by Luke McDonnell. Oh no, Luke McDonnell does the colors on the Tom Neely stuff too. So there you go. Except for that Phantom Crusher. So the other artists, like I said, they're fine. The stories are still entertaining because they're all written by Roger Langridge. Writes everything in here. And it's fun stuff. It's just really, really fun. I would pick these up if I saw the single issues. I don't know how many I would pick up, but Russ Works was saying in one of my videos, if you like this stuff, you should really hunt down the early Popeye stuff. He said it's really entertaining, and Popeye is almost like a side character in some of that early stuff. So here's more Tom Neely with some other characters.
Really good.
And just really nice. There's just something extra into his stories there. So, and this was cheap. It was, I think I got it from the guy for like $5 for the collection. So, it's well worth it. And it looks like maybe he read it once. So if you see it out there and you can get it for cheap, I'd say pick it up. It's damn good stuff.
Talking about Popeye, that Plex I was talking about? Plex had the Plex that the app I was talking about watching. They have Popeye cartoons from the early stuff.
Oh, really? Hey,
I like the early ones.
Yeah, so you go watch it, because there was one I was watching only one episode and I couldn't stop laughing because the moments they pick, the right moments when the reaction happens, it's just the gems things when it comes to Popeye animation. That's what I really like.
Yeah.
So absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that looks fantastic. It just looks so well, and it just makes me smile, which is I like about comic books, that kind of part.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. It was just a nice, lighthearted read. Nothing heavy, just kind of funny gags and funny little jokes here and there, and just really good character moments. His relationship with Olive Oyl in one of the stories was pretty entertaining, as she's getting wooed by somebody else, and Popeye's all pissed off, and he can only think of pulling trees out of grounds or punching the guy in the head as his reactions to these feelings. It's pretty entertaining. It's really good.
And her name is always makes me giggle. I always think I've never realized, the Olive, Olive is the name. But Olive Oyl is why we never thought about Olive Oyl.
Yeah.
Now, kind of thing in the parts when you start to actually coherently think about animation, oh yeah, Olive Oyl, really?
Yeah.
So anyway, I highly recommend to get that Plex stuff, because it's just such a beautiful thing to watch. Such an early animation is. You have that really HD screen still, because it's original ones. They haven't been reworked, but it just puts you right to the spot when you were younger.
Yeah. So it's PLEX?
Yeah. Plex.
I wonder if it's in the US. It looks like it is.
Yeah, it is.
Sweet.
Yeah, it is. Because ETA Nicker was talking about it. If you follow whatever, who else follows his channel or so.
Yep. Scott Connor said the crack cave, and I just realized we're seeing the crack cave from the other side than we normally see it.
Yeah. I was saying to Rasa the last time we did a chat, it was me and her before we went live. I'm like, I don't know why I would set myself in the corner where it was really difficult, and I had to get a small tripod and really cram myself in there. It's why don't I just put the camera on the other side where I've got way more room? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like the old style. It's just that in the past, this used to be the shelving with the boxes and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's all
now I have room to move.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm thinking, should I mention okay, let's continue talking to the tortoises. So this is the zombie part of the turtles we were talking about with the Costa when we were chatting with me and Damon, I think, and Terrence was not, I think so, it was mentioning that. So this is the new character introduction. Her name is Venus, and she is actually not a turtle. I was like, what? But then I'm not going to spoil it why, because that would be it just came out of comic book 2 weeks ago, I think. There's lots of things happening in the world of turtles, but Sophie Campbell is continuously writing the storyline. So as I say, she's continually being. So originally in that Free Comic Book Day, they were saying they only wanted her to do a year run to see how she's getting along with turtles and the popularity, because they were so successful. It's like you guys know, it's very difficult to get into something like that, especially big fan base who's very committed to these turtles, like I am, for example, and then go into just bravely and write a story and basically be in the same kind of vein, but with something new and exciting. And then I think she's continuously doing in a surprisingly way, because this one has a couple of stories happening. So the main story we have of this, which I said to you is quite crazy to look at, because this guy experiments and there's lots of body limbs happening everywhere, and he's experimenting with mutants, put them back how they used to be, not formula, but basically making them kind of his own Frankensteins, but he thinks in his own little brain that he's going to make them better. So Donatello and is one of the friends, we were into this, and he's basically introducing him to her, and he's like, what's happening to her, why she's in so many parts, and apparently he's saying, well, she died, and then I'm just putting her back together, kind of thing. And the whole thing about him, he's absolutely fascinated with dragon scales, and apparently dragon scales have this mystical powers where it comes into your psyche and also gives you a regenerative powers as well. So it's kind of really dark, it goes usually kind of like, it feels like child kind of like storylines, like really happy-go-lucky storylines, and then suddenly they go into this realm where you have chopped limbs, people experimented on without they being captured, without even asking, like that kind of situation. Which is, the subject's not usually kind of easy to put out on the comic books, I guess.
Pretty
but this
dark.
Yeah, exactly, especially in the Turtles world, and but it's really good. So basically, they unfortunately, after conversations, they both get captured as well by him, and he's saying like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna save you," because so he's, spoiler alert, like 6 months ago, no, not 6 months ago, 2 years ago, he died. That was a big shabacle happening in the Turtles world, and his shell, which there's a name for it, which I don't remember the name of the turtle shell specific. Anyway, his shell has not been the same, or no original one. So it's kind of he has a what do you call it? Not phantom limb, but he has a prosthetic shell.
Uh-huh.
To make him basically be whole, because it's part of their own, survival things. So anyway, so he's struggling with it. So he's basically managed to lure him in by saying, "Okay, I can manage help you with this the dragon scale to help you in," and that's how they get captured themselves. And yeah, it's just kind of like like interestingly taking the story to the point where they go also into a realm of not like he basically starts to hallucinate, and he's in the kind of astral field, and they change the artist.
Very cool.
And what happens to him is that he's basically turned back into that era where originally turtles were humans, kids and father. And then you see a Splinter here. I was like, oh my god, they're starting to play with your hearts as well, because those scenes, especially they pick the artist where you have these two hugging scenes where you're like, oh my god, man, why, like you start to be a bit sad about stuff like that kind of thing. He's reminiscing how he used to be, and he's basically talking to Splinter and saying to him, why you left us? Because I was knowing, hopefully not a spoiler alert, but he's dead at the moment. I don't know if he's going to be resurrected again, but he's dead. So Splinter is no more, and they have to go through life without him now. So he's basically not in that subconscious. He's basically talking to him and saying, "Why you left us? We're struggling," kind of thing. We need you back, kind of in a way. So it's really good, and there is a lot of story. There's another story going in Burla Island, which is kind of complicated to explain because I'm a bit confused as well. But generally, this comic book is continuously surprise me and make me happy, like as a comic reader, like as a fan of them. So 128 issues in.
That's
wow.
Awesome.
Not 128 issues in I am, but I started from issue 30, so almost 100, almost 100. I'm reaching 100 issues in, but I definitely it's like my go-to things. I think if I would cancel a police, I will still keep one, and just this, if it's gonna continue, I just really enjoy it, and I like that even the new creators they're coming through, they're still going through the surprising ways, introducing this kind of things, and this is a good who she actually is and what he done to her. That little scientist is actually interesting because it ties into another thing we were mentioning, and I was like, oh, that absolutely makes sense more, and this character is becoming more intriguing to me because she has some other powers as well they're using. So interesting. So very surprising. It always keeps you like interested and makes you happy. Basically, and what I like my comic books makes me happy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I wonder if I've ever read anything straight for 100 issues. I mean, I think I usually dip in and out of,
Yeah, I am
the kind
fully
of Marvel and DC things that used to last that long.
Yeah, I am fully committed to it, and I'm surprised that this is how long it's been already, because it feels like nothing, like it's just you expect it every month, and I always expect it. And there's this when they skip a month, I go like something's missing, like
yeah.
reading, I need something back, kind of thing. So yeah, honestly, as long as they're gonna go, I'm gonna hopefully continue with that, because it's this longest thing I've read continuously. This is my like proper milestone of comics, like this is like I could say like I can like I used to think when I started YouTube pretend like, oh my god, people have like committed from a childhood to read comic books for this so many years. Look at me now, 10 years in, I'm still committed. So yeah, so it's kind of I know a feeling, let's say this way.
That's good. Yeah.
Would you say that you enjoy the main line better than like the Last Ronin? And
Yes, I mean the last one was really good because it gave you kind of the sort of like what ending would they go for at the end of the day, what kind of things the last story ever will be written about them. But it's a kind of good free like break, but always I go back to this and it's always stronger for me this. So I can get disappointed in one issue because then they introduce the story, because it's such an ongoing series. They go back, mention something. It's like, for me, I know. I'm surprised. Sometimes you don't remember what's happening in the titles for like months. Like you don't read a month and you forget. But this one seems to be, I take a break for 2 months and I read 2 issues in a row, but I still know the facts, what they were talking prior to that. And I like that. I think it's just, I guess I'm invested in that kind of thing, the comic book in general. So yeah, thoroughly happy with this.
Cool.
It's amazing to be consistent, to have that quality for so long.
Yes, exactly.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
It's also nice to have a book that you enjoy like that every month. You know what I mean? Like that's a real nice treat.
The one thing regretting now is that not collecting double dipping in those hardcovers, because the hardcovers, they are having extra matter because they have lots of offshoot, and I'm only collecting the main title, and I'm okay with that because there's so many and I can't, because I'm so consistent with this one. I want to just continue being consistent with this because I'm fully invested now.
Yeah.
In the hardcovers they have extra stuff, so that would be even brought in my world of turtles even furthermore, because there will be more I understand about the characters even better. But yeah, so yeah, and Jared also was saying that Usagi Savage Dragon looking at my 100+ issue series. Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Jared really sticks with things. Like I jumped on Savage Dragon because of Jared and was enjoying it for a while, but maybe after 20 or 30 issues, I'd kind of had enough and I dropped back off. But right now, Usagi feels like the thing. Every month, I know I'm going to enjoy it. There's no question.
Do you guys know anybody who's consistently read Spawn for 335, whatever now
no.
it
is?
No. I know a lot of people who were big Spawn fans 25 years ago and have jumped back on it, but I don't know anyone who's consistently read it all the way through.
I must say, I'm kind of impressed that I'm never even have a thought of dropping. There was a couple of times, I guess, because you're going like, why you kill the character, kind of like that thing. I'm consistently happy, like, you're part of your family, somebody chopped it off kind of thing, because you've been continuously reading that. But yeah, I'm surprised. I'm still, no, I don't want to drop it. Nah, I want to just continue. I'm gonna buy it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if Todd McFarlane really has read them all, despite what Chaos and Comics says.
Talking about just a bit before you start talking, do you guys know that the Todd McFarlane is going to come out with this 3-inch DC figures with a comic book inside?
What? No.
Wow.
So it's going to be a comic book. You're going to buy a comic book and it's like a plastic encased, and there's the 3-inch figure will be in there as well, like a punching figure. And it's like there's your classic Batmans and the Supermans, of course, because he's working with DC. But those figures look like they're going to be articulated fully. Like everything. He actually showed the basic one, like the one color one, the test figure. And he's like, everything limb to limb, but everything moves for 3 inches.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I think it's going to punch them up figures. I think that's what it's calling them. Anyway.
Okay.
Andrew says, I wonder how long Bueller has been reading Spawn. And I know because he told me he started at number 300. And he's the big, like he was one of my people I was thinking of. He's a big Spawn fan.
Yeah.
But he only started at 300. I mean, I think he read a few issues back when he was in high school. And now he's trying to collect them all. But I think there was a point where only like 2,000 people were reading Spawn or something like that. And now it's selling 100,000 copies again. It's just crazy.
It's wild, yeah.
No, anyway. Okay, Damien, is that something?
Paula's right. McFarlane did not work on Spawn all the time.
Yeah.
So I consider Larson as being the record holder, not McFarlane. Oh. Yeah, so go to my overhead camera again.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember if Terrence was one of the people who was talking about The Forest by Thomas Ott.
No, but I've seen it and it looks gorgeous.
Yeah. So I I'm now not sure if it was Colin or Earl Grey or maybe both of them talking about
Seems
this
like a
book.
Colin thing for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I think it was I saw Colin flipping through it. And I was like, that looks really cool, but it's one picture per page.
Mm-hmm.
And I have this prejudice. I've got this kind of ongoing conversation with Colin about what really is comics.
Right. Right.
And I was like, I don't know if that's really a comic. Let me see if my library has it.
Yeah.
And my library did. And so I picked it up.
Nice.
It was certainly a great pickup from the library. I had a great time reading it. It only takes about 2 minutes to read because it's a silent. I decided it is a comic for me. It reaches the level of a comic book for me, but it's one panel per page, and it's silent, and it's a simple, but you can read it. You can read a story that's happening, and you can infer emotions and feelings from the silent panels.
It looks good.
And this is a German artist, apparently. This is my first time getting it, but I was read in the back. He's from Germany, and he uses these kind of scratch boards that are black.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You scratch out the white.
Right.
And so if you make a mistake, there's no erasing it or anything.
Oh, wow.
And he painstakingly does each picture.
Jesus.
In some ways, it's a bit like Edward Gorey or something.
Wow.
In feel at times, but I would say it turns out by the end to be a more sentimental story than Edward Gorey would have written. But I liked it a lot, and I would like to see more of his work. I don't know whether I need to own it because it's such a quick read, and while I really admire the artwork, I don't know how much there is to get out of it from multiple viewings. At least in this one, because it's a lot of trees and such. But it's a very haunting, effective, short story.
Yeah. It looks amazing.
David, just read this one. That's why we laugh.
The Odd Couple. Yeah, see, I'm so busy looking down at the books, I'm flipping the pages. I didn't see that. Yes. Scott Connor strikes again.
Yeah.
You like this? Wow.
So I guess I shouldn't flip all the way to the end, or I'll spoil the whole story.
It's beautiful pages, man.
Yeah,
really nice.
It is beautiful. It's very impressive.
Wow.
So I should see if the library has more of his stuff. And I mean, it's not like I would if what's the price on it? It's from Fantagraphics, so the price it's $20. Oh no, it's $17 for this. So it's not a bad
reasonable
price.
Yeah.
But I don't know. At the moment, I'm happy just getting it from the library.
Yeah.
And there's a line, but somewhere in my head between like a picture book, and a comic book.
Yeah.
And this one, although it looks like a picture book, I think it really is a comic book. It effectively tells the story just from what's there, and it doesn't need like a whole bunch blocks of text on the other page or something.
Right.
And it's not just an art book where you're just appreciating the art, but it doesn't really tell a story. Like that Mobius book that I showed a few weeks ago. It kind of felt like a comic book because there was some kind of continuity, but you really couldn't tell what the story was.
Yeah.
So that to me was in a gray zone. But anyway, I'm really glad that Colin showed this and that I found it at the library.
Yeah, that's beauty.
What might be, if they eventually come out with a collected edition of all of his books in one, like the way they often do with the Edward Gorey books, that might be something that I would then want an actual copy for my shelves.
Anyway, libraries are great, and I like them.
Shit, yeah, man.
Yeah, I'd been avoiding the library during COVID, so this was actually my first time going back.
Oh yeah.
And it was not too crowded or anything, so that was good.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where you guys are, but the COVID numbers are going back up here.
Oh really?
They're starting recommending people. Oregon was always one of the more conservative states about how long they made people wear masks, and they're now recommending masks again.
Oh wow.
So I wonder if they'll mandate them again soon.
Oh, I see. Not in here where I am, and it's like relaxed. Everybody's relaxed. Fully.
At my daughter's school, every time someone gets COVID, they send out a letter. So we get like 2 letters a week, and this is a small school, like with, I don't know, 100 students or something.
our province stopped tracking months and months and months ago. So if it is getting worse, there's no evidence of it because they've decided, yeah, fuck it, we're not tracking those numbers. Wow. Yeah, which is, yeah. So who knows? We could be up, we could be down. I mean, I know in my kind of personal experience, the numbers have gone down, like, you know, through our union and people.
Oh, that's
like,
good.
I hear, and the numbers seem to be down. But again, what do I know, right? So,
yeah.
They're talking about Spawn book and Alan Moore's edition of issue 8. And it's Angelo issue, isn't it? Or 9? No,
I thought it was that. I thought one of those was the origin. Yeah, 8 or 9. Yeah.
Yeah, and little did he know that he didn't be noxious stroke in his house. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So we keep on talking about because not many people read. I actually
and the Dave Sim issue of Spawn was not published in Portugal. That's interesting. Because of rights issues.
Because he doesn't. Interesting. I didn't even know that he actually did one issue of Spawn. There you go.
Yeah, issue 10. I guess it's never been reprinted, maybe, or not reprinted often.
Yeah, the Spawn is actually quite a rare site. Maybe I should sell my stuff I have.
There are rare sites over there, really?
It's gone up in value a lot. It used to be just 50-cent bin, dollar bin fodder, but now it's not.
The ones they were talking about, 200 and 250, like 2,000 print runs. So I have, because there's some of them homages to Spider-Man covers. And he's done 300 Spider-Man 300 homage. He's done all of it, whatever he was working on, I guess.
He's homaged himself over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's really sells, to be honest. So, you know, people who love his Spider-Man run, I bet they would go buying that as well. But you know.
Right.
So anybody wants those 250 runs? I think I don't know. I don't even know which ones I have, but I know I have quite a few homages. Just give me a shout. I might give you or something. Anyway, it's Terrence's turn, isn't it? Is it
yeah, and I mean, I don't really know what to say because I've only got one more thing that I've read, and honestly, I don't have a ton to say about it. But I bought the collected Ether. Which is what, 15, 17 issues, something like that. It's beefy. And honestly, I just don't have a boatload to say about it. I enjoyed it enough. I think I enjoyed the David Rubin art a lot, and I loved the coloring a lot. The story was just, it was a story, you know. There was nothing, I don't have good things, I don't have bad things to say about it. It was just there. It moved it along well enough. I thought there was some interesting things that I would have liked to seen explored a little bit more. I did enjoy the stuff where he went back to kind of our reality. This is a guy who he can traverse these different dimensions, and what you have to do to get to that other dimension is you have to commit to killing yourself. You have to commit to dying. To then get to this other dimension, which I think is quite an interesting idea. And in the time that he leaves, he could be gone for a day or 2 days or whatever the amount was. And when he comes back to the other reality, like a year has passed by. So there's these moments where he comes back and visits like his wife, and they had 2 daughters together. And you just kind of, he checks in with them every once in a while. And kind of now they've gotten older and etc. So I thought those moments were really intriguing. There was a lot of, the character spent a lot of the time though running away from those things, which again, that also fits with the story. I just wish that it would have dug into that a little bit more. It's this guy who kind of, you know, just he was born for this, so therefore he has to pursue it. And he's driven to pursue it, and that means he has to cut out a lot of other stuff in his life, including his family. So it had some good parts, and the story was okay. You know, kind of solving a mystery, revealing the big bad at the end, and then fighting the big bad guy at the end. So that stuff didn't do as much for me. It felt kind of like a D&D or like a video game type of elements where you're just kind of facing these next boss levels before you can get to the next part of the story. But the Rubin art, he's so great. He really has a very cool style. and there's all these kind of different moments. There was one thing, I'm not seeing any examples of it right here, but there was one thing every once in a while, it felt like he drew it at a certain size, and then they punched in on it a little to blow it up in a panel, because the word balloon seemed a little bigger. The edges of the lettering seemed a little fuzzed out. So it was a really strange thing. I don't know if that's what they ended up doing or why they did it, but it felt there was moments like that where maybe it was all digital and he could kind of like pinch and squeeze, you know what I mean? And extend it a little bit within that one panel. Stuff like this is really nice, where he's investigating and all of the panels are kind of popping up as he moves around the room. That's some good storytelling stuff there. So I'm glad that I picked it up, because I have a bunch of I think I have the first 5 issues in singles. And I was digging it, reading it monthly, because I remember when I was picking it up and I really liked the premise. But I obviously not enough to continue with it, because I never picked up anymore. And then at the back,
maybe it should have just been 6 issues or something.
That's also the thing I was thinking. It felt like it kind of went on. It was kind of long. I was surprised that it was so many issues, to be honest. I don't want to show you the last few pages. But then they do, they, again, like you were talking about with Carmen, they have the kind of variant covers and things, and show you some of the artwork, including a Dan Brereton cover, which is pretty nice.
Wow. Yeah.
Almost like a fear agent sort of look to him there in this one,
like a pulp fiction cover.
Yeah. Farrell Dalrymple did a cover. His art is pretty phenomenal. I like his stuff. And then they have some process, Paul Pope, a whole bunch of artists, Marcos Martin, Bill Sienkiewicz as well, doing a cover. So all of these passed me by, but and then they have some process stuff at the end where he's kind of just working out the characters. It's quite a bit of extras in the back here, which is great. Some sketches and things. So yeah, fun. No need to rush out and get it, but it was fun. And then some, I guess, extra samples of stories, maybe alternate takes of it and stuff. So, and then the sketchbook, and then there's even more sketchbook stuff at the end there, working out the worlds and things. So yeah, there you go, Ether. That's it.
So Chaos is saying, what about your twig sitting there?
This thing, I mean, we could talk about it. Sure.
It's just art, right?
Yeah, I don't like Scotty Young, so that's the first thing. But I figured I'd give it a try, and it was just art, exactly.
It was nice. I could show the art on my overhead thing here.
Yeah.
Do you want to hook me up?
Me now? You're skipping me now.
We're just improvising, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Terrence can keep talking about it. I'll just show the art.
Yeah. Well, that'll be easy, because it was okay. I don't have much to say about it.
There's not a lot to say about it, is there?
No, I picked up because I liked the look of it. I really liked the art, and I saw a whole bunch of people posting it, stuff like this. Like, I'm on that exact same page. I love this kind of thing. It looks like it's a really interesting world. It feels like it might be a book that I could read with my daughter, because I don't remember anything being pretty dark in this on my first read through. But
there is death in the background, like his dad has died and stuff, but I think your daughter's fine with that. Yeah.
And I mean, there's some interesting world building, like where he's traveling later on in the book, in a couple of pages there, where he's traveling to different places. Yeah, these ones there.
Yeah, this is my favorite 2 pages.
Yeah, it looks really cool. And again, it looks like here's a good premise for a game I would play on my computer, where you play a level in these worlds, you know what I mean? I'd be down with that. But as far as like story stuff, I don't know. I think I'm going to wait to see what people say about it in a few issues before I jump on and kind of keep picking it up.
I think I like the art enough that I'm going to keep getting it, even though I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be blown away by the story.
Yeah.
So
I love this picture too. But
yeah,
but it was kind of the story of my week of reading, is like all of these things were more about the art than the story.
Yeah.
So the feeling about Scott Young is just his drawing or his writing. Have you read his writing?
I haven't. I hate those fucking baby drawings. Like I fucking hate that shit. Like with such a passion. I just have never liked it, and I've never seen the appeal. It just so based solely on that, and I know that that's ignorant. Based solely on that, like I haven't read that Fuck Fairyland. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I haven't read that
Fairyland
one.
You should.
And Middle West is very good.
Is it? Yeah.
He wrote and someone else drew.
If you want a light heart reading with fun and some really odd place, especially a girl who is supposed to be very young and she's just slashing everybody up, you should read that. Really good fun. And then of course his art. But I like his the first thing. I honestly I got fed up with those baby stuff. Honestly, I understand why he got so popular because kind of cute, whatever.
Oh, I totally get it. Yeah.
I got tired of it. But I hate Fairyland. I read and it's fantastic. It just has that, the smirkiness and that, like the stories where he puts her in and the way she's, because you have to imagine her with a growly voice, an 8-year-old with growly voice. That's why I can't
smoking
think
too many cigars.
Exactly, like you have those cartoon characters who smoke cigars and they speak like the kind of similar to that kind of vein. But I think it's I just like his writing as more. I mean, I like his art style because I like the process he's going through, and it's very simplistic as well. Don't forget, but he has, that like easy drawing style. Like it seems you can recreate it, but you can't really because he has just patchy lines and you can't do it. But
yeah, and that kind of art I do enjoy because I agree that style. There's something deceivingly simple about it it's not simple whatsoever. That's someone who's well ahead in the game in their craft and knows which line is going to work in which space, and that's the whole point of it.
I think Middle West is still one of my other things. I liked what he wrote, but this Twig, I don't know, I kind of like want to wear off him as well now. Like I have to example a lot of things. I mean, I hate Fairyland. I would love to read, but he went in that Substack, whatever it is. I don't want to go into that at all, but I would have read more of that because I really like Gertrude. I think she's one of my favorites, like childlike characters kind of thing. Comedy hilarious because she swears as well, and she has this fly kind of like sidekick who is basically trying to help all the time, and she never does basically listen to him at all, kind of thing. But I understand sometimes there's drawing styles and stuff, but people don't. Like them.
I'm a fan of art in kids' picture books, and I think that's the only level that for me this works. But for me, that's enough. Like Chris said, he's going to wait for it in trade, but to me, it's not so much a read as a look. So I don't see getting it in trade. But I might not get all the issues.
I'm with you on the kids' picture book thing, though. There's some stuff that Lily, because they go to the library, and she'll take some stuff out from her school library as well. And some of the books that she brings home, some of the illustration, in the age, even a little younger than her too, but also in the age group now, there's some incredible looking stuff, like really, really nice.
It seems like a place for great artists to go.
Yeah.
Because there aren't that many places. The fine arts world is very limited. So it seems like a great place for really talented artists to do their stuff.
Yeah.
He said, Chris says, I hate Fairyland, but I don't like the same gag over and over. Yeah, true. Kind of repetitive in some parts. I don't know. I guess I just had the kick of it. I just Anyway. Okay, so forget about the Scotty now. And we talk about Rick Remender. A couple of the things. Ricky. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk together about it then?
Sure. I don't have a lot to say about it. I'll just listen to you. Maybe you'll make me think of something.
To be honest, Damien, I skipped your part of this talking because and I knew I was going to receive it. So I skipped it because, you never know.
Smart. Yeah, you never know.
So I skipped that one. So I apologize in advance.
No problem.
Anyway, so it's more silent than anything, and like even the first one. Because we have basically found a kid who can't speak at the moment because of the situations he's been at.
Right.
Terence, you're following this book as well, but have you read this issue?
I haven't picked it up. I haven't been to that shop yet. It's the one that's far away from me. So I'm just carry on though. Don't sweat it.
So he's basically having his own day, start to wake up earlier than usually because I forgot the main guy's name, to be honest. I don't remember what's his name anyway. I forgot the name.
I don't know if they gave us his name. They must have, but
yeah. Anyway, so he's taking care of that girl's who she's their child, and basically he's moving along this day. Everything's fine, and then suddenly he sees a phone on the wood, whatever stump, yeah, and it says open me. So he opens it up and he gives him a picture of our main character and saying wanted, and it says the recent victim of his is his mother. So the kid goes freaks out and basically runs away. So what I enjoyed was this kind of silent motions, and the art was working really well because the panels, and like it wasn't just like it wasn't as slow, like it wasn't as quick, but it's just the way it followed through the panels to panels, so it felt like really you can easily follow without having to have a speech bubble. There's a couple of them in here, and then of course he gets captured by the crazy, which I don't even. Honestly, I don't know names now. To tell you the truth,
have we seen that guy before? Because I don't recall him.
Yes, we've seen him before in one of the first issues, because they came in together. So he's there. So he's the killer of the killer, like the worst of the worst.
Yeah, the guy with the camera or whatever, right?
Yeah, that's the PP bomb, like that. That's the guy. And then we find out that there's a copper who gets involved. Apparently,
he's working with the cop.
Yeah, and they work together, but then everybody has their own agenda, and there's a fist fight. It's very fast read. I mean, there was nothing to read about really, because there's really little speech bubbles. It's just a good celebration once again. I'm still amazed by Andre Lima Rojo, because his art is just, I mean, the action scenes, those horizontal or vertical lines he's using for the like jump or the movement. I really like that. I think it really works a lot for me, and there's I don't know, it's just the way it went for me. I guess I was in a really mood, and this is my favorite panel because it just really portrays the emotion of being like,
and it makes me wince.
Basically he says, this is it, I'm done for, because he knows exactly who he's dealing with, and this guy has just absolutely cold-blooded look to him, so he doesn't really care. It's just emotionless person. So yeah, and another thing is everything, whatever bad happens to the kid, everybody's starting to look for him, and how they end is what really made me it's like, haha, you're doing that to us again, kind of thing. But this guy is absolutely spooky. He makes me uneasy, and he's really well drawn and portrayed in here as a bad guy, really bad guy. The kid's basically feeding the kid a breakfast, and there's two people behind him tied and basically murdered cops, and he doesn't have there's no phasing in for him. It's like nothing. It's like really proper, those serial killers who doesn't have any emotions. And then it runs into this where the kid actually noticing in his situations where he's going to end up being at, where they both got tortured to basically death.
Crazy.
Yeah, so that part was really good. And as I say, ending is, I'm not going to even show to anybody, but because it's really works well. It pays off for me for the comic book in generally, where like, ta, and there you go, this is what will happen.
It's definitely now you have to read the next issue kind of ending.
Yeah, you're like, shit, man, you did that again. Because, it has that moment that, and I say, I'm not going to spoil the things of what it was, but it's really well done, like always. Cool. And that, as I say, artist, it just works. He picks the panels really well. You're like, oh, okay, now I want to know what's happened next. It's like team. Oh fuck, I have to wait another week or another month now. Understand what's gonna happen in with the kid, because it's kind of brutal. It doesn't pull punches in this one. It's also always horrible. There was two happy moments in this book where the kid just picks up apple. That's the only good moment there was. And then since that point onwards, the minute he picked up that phone, or like a movie where you like pick up the phone and that's it, your life just completely changes. So basically, that's what really happened to the kid. He picks up the phone and he gets kidnapped. So yeah, really good moments. I was like, yeah, that panel. I was like, while I was flipping through it, I was like, okay, that panel really works. Wow, that's really scary. This guy, oh my god. And then that guy who was like just being grappled and that knife in his face, like, Jesus, I don't want to be in his space. So yeah, I don't know, enjoyed it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm liking it. That's for sure.
You have more, Damien? I have a couple more.
I have some more. Chris mentions he read the whole first volume of Vengeance, and it took him 10 or 15 minutes. And I'm not surprised. I mean, it's just a super fast read. But I don't often I'll resent that, but I don't with this because of the art and the way he does it. It's kind of a lesson on how to do a mostly silent comic for other people in a way, because often that doesn't work so well. But
but the strength of the artist is a key in this one, because the minute you have the face off or you're unrecognizable, like, I don't know the names, but I know where the guy was from and blah blah blah. But that's what's more important for me at the end of the day, because it folds the story proper, because then you don't confuse yourself. And then especially the silent ones halfway through. So
yeah, it works a lot better than like that Step by Bloody Step. Even though I like that one, the story gets incoherent at points in that one because of no dialogue.
Is that Siberia one?
That's the Siberia one? Yeah.
Because I
would love to see behind the scenes what the scripts for these mostly silent comics look like. You know. I'm assuming Rick Remender and Andre Lima Araujo are communicating really well, and then Araujo's communicating really well with us, the audience.
But he's like, yes, finally I found it. Like, but he picks up artists so well. Like we were talking that on and on and on and on. That's the key. Tremendous work. He knows who to pick, and he
knows how to communicate with them, which I think is a huge part that doesn't, I think, get discussed enough. Like picking the right person, but then communicating your ideas to them and having some sort of trust and whatever that, like building that relationship. I think that goes to, I mean, even the interviews that I've seen with Remender, he seems like a legitimately good guy. You know what I mean? Like he seems like a guy that would be easy to talk to, and I'm sure that that's a big part of the success that he has with kind of telling his stories. He's you know, he has a certain communication style, right, where he can get these things across, and then they just pick up the stuff because they're amazing artists as well too, you know.
And he was an artist himself.
So we understand
at one point he was deciding whether to be an artist or a writer, and he used to be more of an artist.
In many interviews he says that thank God I went to a writer. This artist work way too hard. It's funny.
I believe the better writers work harder than it. It's not easy to see what work a writer does.
You know,
I feel like, well, from my own experience with writers, I feel like the writers of comics that I don't think the writing are very good, they probably did not think about it long enough or do enough drafts or throw out their bad ideas and look for good ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of it too. That
it's not the same. Put your butt in the chair for 9 or 10 or 20 hours the way the artists do, though.
Yeah.
But I think it takes time. Well, this continues the art over caring about the story at all.
Yeah.
I'll put this down too.
I read 2 pages and I actually ordered it extra. I could not believe. I loved the story and what I've read so far, but I didn't. I had the samples. You can couple sample pages, so I found a couple sample pages, and I loved what I read. And it's like I've ordered it, so I'm waiting to receive it in the posters.
Well, I'm loving the art. It is not by Daniel Warren Johnson. He's just the co-scripter of this.
I see.
And the artist is the other co-scripter, which is a good thing, I think, when you have an artist who can write. His name is Juan Gideon. I've never seen his art before, to my memory. And Good Colors by Mike Spicer. So it's a really fun visual romp. But it's basically like fill in the blanks. Oh, here's the Joker. Just fill in the blanks with dinosaurs to me. And it looks really cool, but I just don't feel like there's a whole lot of story here other than just repeating stuff. So I don't know if I'll get more issues or not, but I really enjoyed reading this issue just for the art. And I think I have really reached a point of burnout on repeating stories about Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. And, maybe like I'm trying to mostly take a break from Batman, and I'm assuming I'll eventually come back to it.
Black Mantisaur.
That's Black Mantisaur. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of giggle over the transpositions of all of that. It might be one that I'll pick up a few issues and then read the rest on Hoopla or, digitally sometime. There's your Aquaman. Somehow there are mammals all around, too. There's dolphins, there's human beings. They just mix it all together. So
it does look
some people thought this was drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson, so I just wanted to warn
I'm one of those people. I thought that it was,
It's a good art style, but it's not the same kind of art style.
Right.
There's Wonder Dawn. And it starts, of course, with her on Paradise Island, and she decides to go off to bring the message of peace to the rest of the dinosaurs. And there's Super Sore, and he was raised by the humans and is protecting the humans. So I just don't feel like it has, beyond the joke, for me, beyond the joke of substituting everything, I don't feel like it has its own message or anything to say, but we'll see.
I'm going to read it. I'm going to receive it.
There's a Brontosaurus, so we've already got a Bizarro character, and I guess this is Giganta, but she was a female character, I think, with the Doom Patrol or somebody like that.
And what did it say? A 6-issue miniseries?
Yeah. So the one reason to get it floppy, I guess, is because the art's so nice. In a paperback trade, there'll probably be a lot of gutter loss and stuff.
Yeah.
Look at that page. It's going to be
a beauty. This is a beautiful page.
Yeah.
Well, Gideon was working on the Venom run.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've been meaning to look at the various Venom runs on my Marvel Unlimited, but haven't yet. Jared reached Batman Burnout in 1988.
Yeah. It needs Ambush Bug. I was thinking it needs Captain Carrot and the Zoo Crew.
Yes. Ambush Bug and Captain Carrot should show up.
There you go. There's the next Daniel Warren Johnson book.
Right. I think it's like, are they playing it for humor, or they're going to have some pathos? And is there any commentary here? I don't think so. I think it's just for fun, and that's it.
Fun. Yeah.
It's okay. Did you have more, Rasa?
Yeah, well, I have. I'll go. Oops! Why? My God, I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. So another Rick Remender book. So finally, I will be. And I know how long I have to wait till then. He's fine. Well, he wrote how long it's going to be. So 56 issues. 56th issue will be the last one.
So 4 more
for sure.
Sure. Now it's official. He wrote it down. He's saying in the letters box, saying, there you have a 2006 for Marcus and Maria, and the end of the first half of the final story. Issue 56 is the last issue, so we only have 4 more to go. So another long-running series I'm committed to. Now I'm kind of committed to my series, like I did the East of West with 40-something issues. Now Deadly Class 56 will be issues. I am throughout from the beginning. From number 1.
I was going to say, you started at number 1 too, didn't you, with this one? Yeah.
You're a long hauler.
Yeah, I like my long haul thingies. And this one, so he Rick Remender in here is pulling my heartstrings quite a bit, because he's doing very fat things to our main characters. So as I mentioned in that letter thing, so we are in year 2006, where you see Hussein is in the pages in 2006. I guess is a good reminder of what happened in that time. Anyway, and is continuously to have Wes Craig's art as a beauty. So we have on our Marcus having so I thought while I was reading the series the class, I always thought that Marcus is going to go for Sia. So the previous issue I was talking about that love story they kind of have, and she has drugs issues and he's helping. But honestly, I think he realized quite a long time ago that Maria, the crazy one with the ones, she is the one for him. But fortunately to them, so basically almost on they so she's illegal apparently. I didn't realize that she was illegal in America. So she doesn't have any medical insurance, and Marcus apparently stopped killing people because he had enough, and he's becoming kind of a journalist, but doesn't pay well. So they're on a poverty line kind of thing, almost through the house. So they live in this really dodgy area in a flat above some garage, and she has apparently lupus. Or disease where like you have problems your muscles and autoimmune system problems, so everything just becomes worse and worse with his characters, and Marcus is just there to help him. But the way he's twist the story a little bit right at the end, it make me like, oh my god, you're really gonna do us to us. So there's a bombshell, not the bombshell like of killing somebody, but it's gonna be a more gruesome things to happen to our main characters, basically. So while he's seeing her deteriorate with this illness, Marcus is realizing that time is way too short for both of them, and it's basically ongoing series. It's kind of a love letter to his non-existent children, and it's like those letters where I want kids to realize how I met your mother and what's happened to us before you're basically being born. And it's really like subtle at the beginning, like always recommended as it with Wes Craig's storytelling. Once again, it's fantastically told. The panels he picks, the color schemes of Neil Luridge is completely stunning, and a very consistent team. And one thing you were talking about, guys, about original art, I wouldn't mind having that class art by Wes Craig. I actually even looked it up. It's like 250 for essential like a issue, like without many characters are there, which is not bad. I mean, at the end of the day,
that's not bad at all considering. Yeah,
that's like yeah.
I'm almost surprised it's physical.
Yeah, it is. It's all pages.
They're just black and white art.
Yes, and it's so you should look it up. The pages available is actually quite stunning. Lots of them are sold, of course, if the main character is being killed off or some essential part of the
spectacular pages.
But it's honestly it's actually so. They're going back to Las Vegas, and one of my favorite stories was in Las Vegas while they were when we were tripping. He took mushrooms, and the whole issue was with different colors and stuff like that. So they go back to Las Vegas because, as I say, Marcus decides like something I need to do. I think he's deciding to kill somebody as well to make more money, and propose to her as well. So he proposes to her. She gets really surprised, and they go on to get married in Vegas. And even mentions the one thing he cannot stop thinking after tripping is this clown, and he can't shake him off. So every time he goes to Las Vegas, he sees this clown. The back of his head. So all the mates are back, like some of them who's still alive. So he invited them to the wedding, like in that Las Vegas chapel and stuff like that. And he's saying Vegas is not the same. It's always like a Disneyland, but worse. Because the way Vegas has changed so much from the 80s, I guess. So yeah, and of course there's a twist ending right at the end. There's some shooting happening, but I'm not going to say who and what. But honestly, it's still very strong. I know people are kind of left this away, but I am not sure. I'm dreading to see what's going to happen, if he's going to do a very good ending or right to a complete and utter like bombshell kind of, or every single one of them is going to die and nobody's going to be left from this.
That would be something.
Class, but I think knowing Rick Remender, I think is going to do something, because he keep on telling every time on the back of the pages of the letters saying we want the ending the way we were thinking we're gonna do it, and we're gonna do it. No matter how popular this comic will be,
Amazing.
we're still gonna do it the way we want it. So
that's
why
good to hear.
That's why it takes long, I guess, to end it.
Yeah.
Inspired by you, I've already bought the first 3 deluxe hardbacks, so they better put out a 4th one.
You know what?
I'd read the first arc in trade paperback years ago, but
the simplicity of these 2 pages, for example, just palette is fantastic. He's proposing to her, and the simplest little box he found, whatever, and those emotional expressions, the panels where they embrace themselves. It's just some small little, and they of course having, having a little bit of a bit in the
hanky panky.
They're whistling.
Yeah, that's part of it, by the way.
Yeah.
Those little moments, and this page is like, even though it's not, it's from previous issue where he's just like helping Sia to basically vomit to almost her death, but just helping her to go over from the drugs. But it's interesting how much he took this character of Marcus, where you honestly, I felt like from issue like maybe 20 he was gonna kill himself. That's the only way that's going, because everything's bad, always bad, and never good, and there's never a glimmer of light. He has this glimmer of light, and of course, which I didn't show you a couple of at the end pages, there's da da da, I'm gonna do something really bad, there's something's gonna really bad gonna happen. And it's just those kind of twists which just keeps me going, and I enjoy it. I honestly do. I've always thought like where you're gonna want to take the story, but you basically completely following Marcus Road from the beginning till whatever it's going to be end, I guess. Because he looks weathered. It doesn't look like he's part of our society anymore, because the amount of things he's seen. So
right.
Yes, I agree, Jared. Yes, he's A++ artist for sure. And as I say, seeing those pages, I don't know. I don't remember the name of that website, but they kind of have quite a image, kind of more those kind of like artists in there. And I saw his couple. I was looking through the page. Oh, I could have that page, and I could have that page. And of course, the cover pages, they're most expensive, but for me, it's the least entertaining, because it's just kind of image, and there you have movement. The way Wes Craven's beauty about his Deadly Class is the way he moves the characters through the page, and it's original paper, and the paper digital. So.
Right. You want the actual sequentials, not just a
exactly cover. Yes, a nice picture to look at, the way his working process of the art cover, but still like the sequence part that's the beauty for me.
And I think that's the best way to go if you're going to buy a page, buying from something that really resonates with you, right? Like, even though there's a million other inner city romance pages that I would have loved, I'm still glad that I have one, because I've got one. You know what I mean? I got a page from one of his books. I love him as an artist. I love that series. So I'm actually surprised to hear that they're not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. I mean, not that $100 and $200 is cheap by any stretch, but I'm surprised that they're not more than that, to be honest, because it's such a big book.
The covers can go from especially if it's because he has some DC work as well, Wes Craig. So there's a Catwoman. I think he was doing some of the stuff. Yeah. I was surprised by, but anyway, there's some of things, and he done a lot of what is that other series? I anyway forgot. But then Deadly Class in particular, all the cover ones are 800 plus.
Oh wow, yeah.
Especially if it's like, I bet this one would be a grand and something because of the 2 main characters of the story. But then
being there, yeah.
Especially, I like always the blackest ones, because I like to see the ink lines completely kind of put it on the page, and it looks, because the scans are really nice. I zoomed it in, and it's like, wow, there's proper ink lines. I love that part of the comic.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes looking at original art and prices and sales makes me realize one reason good comic book artists still will do work with Marvel and DC is because of the aftermarket of selling their work.
Yeah.
That their big character books, the big character pages are going to sell for $1,000 instead of $200, and that's a huge difference, in your income stream.
Heck yeah!
So even the abuse or the lack of personal ownership may be worth it. giving up to get those prices for the original art.
I got through Invincible in 3 months, but I read it for 75.
Because Jared was
Yeah, you
mentioning
sure did.
Invincible as another one he did as a long haul, and you did.
I read through and
shotgun the Invincible.
Yeah, and I talked through it in the videos as well.
Yeah.
That was interesting. But of course, I had to take a break as well because 75 issues in one go is kind of a task.
Yeah.
Okay, what shall I put that ad stream thingy that?
Sure. So I have more books where I like the art and was on the story. Most interesting that way was this thing, Blind Alley.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing this is a Spanish artist. They don't give any. There's no clues. This is a Behemoth comic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And like Heavy Metal Drummer, it's kind of smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And I think I'm guessing that's their way of dealing with someone who's done things in European album size. Just shrink the whole thing down rather than have the blank pages
spaces
on either side.
Mm-hmm.
And this had really great art.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be about a guy who worked for the mob, maybe on Costa del Sol, but it didn't turn out that well.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's significance to all these things, like dipping his hand in gazpacho, I don't know it. And then it looks like they're beating him up, but they're also saying they're just letting him go. And then the rest of the book, and I don't know the significance of that image either, but the rest of the book is kind of this picturesque him returning to his hometown somewhere else in Spain, in I don't know how to pronounce it, and Antequera. So he returns to his hometown and he meets a bunch of people he used to know, and they say, "Hey, you're back. Let's party or let's do this or that." This Blind Alley, I don't know if now he's in Seville.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where he is. So I really enjoyed the art, and I felt like this should be a story I like, but I just couldn't get enough out of it. I don't know if I'll understand it more if I get future issues or whether I should just leave well enough alone. But it's really nice sequential art, nice color, nice, got kind of a distinctive drawing style. So I don't know if anyone there is everything is done by one guy named Irra, Irra. A friend, someone helped him with flats, but that's about it.
That looks pretty interesting. Yeah.
And I couldn't, I was looking at copyrights, trying to see if there's some hint that it had been published somewhere before. But the indicia for Behemoth books is a bit different. Yeah. It says Blind Alley is a work of pure fiction unless otherwise indicated. All of the names, characters, business places, events, and innocent incidents, in this book are either the product of the author and our artist's imagination or are used in a fictitious manner, blah, blah, blah. Living or dead or actual events is purely coincidental. First printed in Canada. There was something funny here. All hail the almighty Behemoth, it says at the end.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to. I thought there was something more funny in there, but anyway, they don't even give a date at all. And they certainly don't indicate if it's a reprint.
Right.
What?
And
the barcode.
And there's just 2 ads at the back, and that's it. So there's just no information on it.
Okay.
And I don't know what to make of it. I would like to like it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued for sure.
And then this one is by A Wave New World. So I love going to this comic book store, books with pictures, that doesn't have back issues, but they get more of these smaller press things.
That's excellent.
Picking them up. But this one, it's called Mezzo, Battle at Cobain Rock. But it turns out to be volume 2, and here's a summary of volume 1, which is, it's like so-and-so battled someone and they were trying to make a sacrifice. And so I think it's all an epic fantasy set on this other world because there's multiple moons, but it has kind of an Aztec feel.
Cool.
And I love the coloring here, and the
color
art
looks really nice. Yeah.
And this is turns out to be a flashback sequence. So they got a it's the same artist, but a different style in the present and a different colorist, but still kind of cool. But I guess there's people with armies and vendettas and politics and princes and stuff, and I just didn't know what was going on. And I have a feeling that even if I read the original ones, it would just be a whole bunch of like fantasy novel cliches or something that wouldn't add up to a lot. So it kind of made me sad because I did love the art. So with the other one, with Dead End, I'll probably try a second issue. But with this, even though I like the art, I don't think there's much point. Maybe I could, look and see if there was a free digital version to read someday. But it's intriguing. I would like to see this artist again somewhere else. It's his or her name is Val Rodriguez. And I also read Norse mythology, which continues to be awesome.
Yeah, I bet.
I've never, outside of Norse mythology, I've never heard of Galen Showman, but he's very similar to P. Craig Russell. And so it looks really nice and great coloring by Lovern Kandersky, or however you say it.
Yeah. This is another one that I'm considering buying the hardcovers as well too, just cuts.
Are they oversized or
they're not? They're not, but I kind of just wanted again because I just really love it. And instead of having to go and grab the issues, it'd be nice to have something on the eventual shelf that will be here.
It is Dark Horse, so I wonder if they'll do one of their library editions.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Please, I will buy it because I'm
this was a great issue. Another great issue. I mean, Norse mythology is always tops.
Yeah, so it hasn't disappointed once.
Is it true that Loki had a son who is a wolf?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh,
so the Fenris wolf is going to be there in the apocalypse or the Ragnarok, and he's a son of Loki. And I think that the serpent that goes around the world may be a son of Loki too.
Right.
It's all kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
Loki's children are monstrous and gigantic. And
I'm playing the game Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh yeah.
So and that has whole like Norse history, and I was like, hey, wolf, that's Loki, because she's basically the character you follow. It goes into dream state and it goes into the Valhalla, where the people are dead.
Yeah, their afterlife.
And it's beautiful scenery in that game, by the way. It looks like almost like a good comic. It would be a good scene for the comic. I was like,
yeah,
like this kind of thing. But anyway, I read the same of things. Hellblazers.
Oh yeah, nice.
Issue number 5 and issue number 6. I decided to. I've never finished this run. So I decided that I need to kind of dabble into it, even though I have so many other things like Batman. I wasn't committing to that, but my mind was wandering, and I wanted some more John Constantine. And the first things, the issue 5 is actually quite sad. Everything. I think I didn't realize how sad this Hellblazer actually is, and how John Constantine doesn't get involved. I mean, maybe just the beginning issues. So basically what happens in this issue, by the way, that's why I don't want the reprints, because of this kind of color you see in the comic. It's beautiful for me. I just absolutely love the page. Is that kind of not really wide page, but aged a little bit. So it's Delano, of course, and Ridgway artist. And this is when the Johnny comes marching home. So basically, John Constantine gets into this town called Liberty, and where it's the sons who went to a war in Japan, Hiroshima, and then lots of one of the battalions, especially of this one little town, men have not survived. Only part of one, and that one was completely hallucinating, and he's here sitting in this like a gas station working, drinking beer, and he doesn't know what's happening to him because he's keep on reminiscing to what happened because he's feeling guilty. Basically, the guilt is making him going a bit crazy,
eating him away. Yeah,
exactly, eating him away. And then he's basically kind of like, because of the he's kind of like non really good state of his mind. He kind of feels like he's back in Japan, still fighting, and it's kind of hallucinating at the same time. So almost like John Constantine says hello to him, and he almost shoots him dead almost, but he Constantine managed to escape that. And then the way it's really dark because the way it ends, this the story is so basically John Constantine knows exactly what's happening to people. He's well aware that there's really something really bad going to happen, but he's not doing anything about it. He's just there to look. So he goes in there, and he says in here like a couple of panels, like, I know I should go there and help. And there's a particular scene where the same guy who's hallucinating, it shows in his panels where he thinks he's in the bushes hiding and going. He's actually kind of half asleep, half awake, and he dresses up and he actually has the guns and he goes in there for hunts because he still thinks that he's going to basically protect the people. And what he does actually is going into town and start shooting everybody without realizing that he's actually doing that. And John Constantine, he's like, okay, I'm just, I'm not going to do this anything. And I was like, what the hell, man? I thought you're supposed to help. Don't just stand there. Don't wait. Because basically, this guy ends up killing his own wife. He rapes in front of John Constantine, and John Constantine is not doing anything. So while he's hallucinating, he's raping his own wife, and then shoots her dead.
Crazy, so crazy.
Absolutely, I was not like, yes, primal example. He's sitting in this hotel watching the situation happening, unfolding to him, like while he's raping his wife, and he's like, "Oh, maybe I should go for it, but I'm not going."
What an unusual choice for that. I'm assuming that's supposed to be red. On my screen, it looks really pink, though. The background there.
It is pink. It is pink.
Oh, okay, that's an odd choice.
Yeah, very different, like a very different color schemes, like in here, very pink as well. So he's fighting his wife because our wife is basically trying to forget him. And then after the fact, when he kills the wife, John Constantine is like ashamed for not doing anything, but he's just there, like sitting. He's doing like nothing.
Interesting.
And I was absolutely amazed by that. And basically what happens is, and he's basically, there's this meeting in this little town. And the guy goes continuously going because nobody's stopping him. So the whole town, basically, the center explodes into flames.
Uh-huh.
And then John Constantine's face is like this, and there you go. He's basically finished with that. And the moral story of this issue was, maybe you should be helped to deal with this situation, or he shouldn't be part of it, basically, because we found out at the end of this issue that the guy who was hallucinating felt guilty. The battalion he was part of it was killed because of him, because he told, like, by mistake, because of the situations where he was part of, he couldn't, basically, his mind settled properly. So he basically disclosed information to where his battalion will be, and they all got exploded. What the hell? So this is more of a surprising part of the Hellblazer for me, because I wasn't really realizing how nonchalant, he was in his own title kind of thing. And it's kind of similar thing happened in issue 6, where there's this gang of youths in that time in England, those skinheads who they hate gays, especially gays people, and they go in this black alley, finds a man, and just basically starts to punch him to death because they like the way he looks at it, because
they really just want to have sex with him, and they can't come to terms with those feelings.
And that gay guy, they were thinking, look at the face of that guy they tried to stumble upon, and apparently this is a creature who basically devoured them. They smashed them together.
Crazy.
And then that's what is the scene afterwards, where John Constantine, once again, it's called Damnation Army. He goes back aftermath of what happened to those kids after that. So basically, completely brutally killed. Did I lose you? Oh yeah, I'm back, I think.
No, you're here. Yeah, you're still here. A little choppy, but we can hear you mostly.
Yeah. So it's a lot of things happening, and then once again, John Constantine sits in the bar, sees the situation unfolding, and still not reacting. So Is it that's how John Constantine dealt with the situation is in his own comic book, or is it just the beginning of a storyline? Because I do hope so. It's gonna be like that. Because honestly, this is like, interesting. Why he just observing? Because I know he's a bit crazy in his own head. Because whatever he always steals is always that, he whatever he touches is always goes into bad situations. But then you are part of the bad situation already, but you're not doing anything about it to prevent things like people dying, or I don't know. So it kind of felt like crazy part of the John Constantine so far. And there's this advertisement in the back of the book. Giving joke. Yeah, so it's kind of weird, but in a way, I of course I really enjoyed this the way they plotting the lines, because I have this is the story continues. So I don't know exactly what will happen with what he's gonna do, John Constantine, with this creatures and killing them and stuff like that. What I do know, those skinheads, the skinheads that person killed, their power is to put them together into one being.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't realize they died, and they don't realize that they're part of one being, and they were fighting with John Constantine, and one word woke them up, and what he said, because they're football fans, so one of them Liverpool and the woman's Arsenal, and they feud between, or Chelsea, and they were feuding between each other, and they punched the lights out of each other from so in that sense it was quite funny. But yeah, it's just kind of weird part of John Constantine, which I didn't realize that in the beginning of his issues that he was kind of like really not really in the picture, rather than just observing.
Maybe they started out thinking he was going to be more like the Phantom Stranger or something.
Maybe. I hope so.
Because that was the tradition that he maybe comes out of.
Yeah, these like horror hosts or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who was the writer at that point?
It's Jamie Delano.
Oh, Jamie Delano. Okay, so he's on it for a long time.
Yeah, he goes like for quite some time, and I know the further issues there will be more involvement of him and much more enjoying. Right. But I didn't realize that's how they started. So
they're just working it out. I think they haven't figured out what to do yet.
I know it helps as part. It still says DC comic books, so it wasn't the Vertigo title yet.
Right.
So how do you make them interested in this character to follow them through? If it's kind of like, right, especially that issue where he just went to that little town to basically see everybody brutally murdered without him actually doing anything about it, rather than just having one conversation to find out what's happening in here. Like he was pretending he doesn't know exactly what's happening in this town. I was like, that's a bit odd. It doesn't behave like him at all, because usually you know him as a smirky guy, always head-butted into situation where he doesn't know. He knows how to deal with it, but not really. He's just gonna go with the flow, because he's so as overly confident or
in the Swamp Thing. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, he was more like this, just shadowy manipulator from a distance rather than very deeply involved.
Yeah, I thought there was something to, and again, I'm not super well versed in it. I thought there was something too with his inability to kind of affect change, whether he wanted to or not, and coming to terms with that, and kind of being in this position where even if I wanted to do something, I can't actually do anything. You know what I mean? So, and it's neat to kind of play with that, because I know that I just remember every time I think Hellblazer, I think Travis Oddfellow's Thoughts, because he was just such a hardcore fan. Yeah. And I mean, it always made me, I've never read the whole run. I've read issues here and there, but it's just another one of those really should read, because I know he struggled with alcohol and all
200 issues is intimidating.
So it's very intimidating. Exactly right. Yeah.
It's 300.
Oh yeah. That
well then even more
so then. Yeah. That's it. I'm out of here.
And on that note, with this Sunday therapy.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for whoever came, like Paul Costa and Chaos Comics and Scott Connor. Scott Connor was from the White from the beginning, so thank you very much.
He's OG. Scott Connor's OG.
Francis O'Reilly, Andrew Lopez. I hope I'm not missing anybody out. I think so. I got all of them. So thank you very much for sticking.
Lots of great commentary, some that we missed.
Yeah, sorry. Something difficult.
Always the way.
Yeah.
This is the way.
This is the way.
We appreciate it all.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you very much, and we hopefully will see you next Sunday.
Yep. Later.
Awkward.